7:02, call the meeting to order. We do have two guests tonight that with Mike and Bill on the line. And, why don't we, so we're not killing their time. Mike had reached out to me saying they wanted to have a quick conversation. I think this is in regards to land behind track.
To talk about was the open space and recreation plan. And
Okay.
the recreation commission's components within that. I'm going to let Mike talk about the open space and recreation plan, and I can talk about the land that abuts the Trask property.
Okay. Who wants to go first, I guess?
Do you want me to go first, Bill?
Yep.
Okay. Well, we currently have an open space and rec plan. It was done in 2020. At that time, it was good for 7 years. The state executive office environmental affairs is giving people with approved plans or towns with approved plans an opportunity to extend it for 3 years. And we need to get input back to them in order to do that by the end of September. Basically, what all we really need to do, I believe, is to get extended is to update, I think, the action plan section of the open space plan. And so I was wondering if I could just talk to you a little bit about that. Conservation Commission is looking at this. Open Space is going to be talking about it tonight. And we've added lakes, ponds, and streams to the mix. But let me try to share with you the table. And if there are any questions, just let me know. First off, I guess, can you see anything?
Yep, we can see it.
Oh, you can see it.
Or, well, I did, and then yeah, now it's back. Okay.
Is it back?
Bigger?
It's back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. I can zoom it in a little bit more. Okay, so this is a fairly long table. I'm not sure if I scroll, if you're going to see any changes in the table. Shoot, my mouse is not cooperating. Can you see any changes when I scroll or not?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So you can see that this is it's called the action plan. It's, I think, section 9 of the OSRP. So there's a whole bunch of stuff in here for open space, environmental education, watershed protection, wetland protection. But there is a section on recreation.
Yep.
And what we're looking for is basically kind of higher level tasks that, would be accomplished, or at least which you would like to accomplish in the next few years. So we're through with 20 through 24, and so this update goes from 25 to 29.
Yep.
So there's a place for RecCom here and tasks, and most of these tasks I think were. Oh, and the color is priority. High priority is kind of orange, medium is blue, and low priority is green. But I think some of this has been altered a little bit, but for the most part, we haven't changed anything that has to do with rec, like implement 4 parks master plan, maintain existing rec facilities, integrate open space trails into RecCom offerings. We tried to do that a bit, Maria, but we should work on that some more. We have a Hike Upton thing, which rec could point to. Trail to connect Heritage Pond and Town Center. That is actually something that is kind of raised its prominence recently with think what is it, 12B? Is that the name of the main street? The town's looking to purchase some
Oh,
property,
yeah,
which would,
yeah.
improve.
Does that, yeah, I guess that does connect to it.
Well, they're
Yep.
thinking about also doing the shoebox box parcel next to the Rose Garden.
Yeah,
So, but anyway, that's in here. Lake Wildwood Boat Ramp improvement, accessible trails, aquatic weed control. But I guess the main thing we're asking for your time today is if there's any lines that should be added here from a recreation standpoint. Anything you can think of, any plans you have in the next few years that you'd like to include here. It can be fairly targeted, like Wildwood Boat Ramp improvement, or it can be, broad, very broad. And it's aspirational. Fair number of these actions, won't happen probably, in the time frame that we have here. So.
yeah, so I guess maybe, the closest thing that I would say that, or the main activity that we have that I think qualifies here is, we've got some rough drawings that actually we'll probably look at a little bit later, in terms of fixing the softball field area, which is retaining wall and some new dugout stuff and ADA type of things. It's in an existing recreation facility, but I think that one's more than just maintain existing. This is really, upgrading to an ADA compliant, kind of field, area. So,
Okay.
that's probably a good one to have on here. Certainly, to implement the 4-park master plan. Well, yeah, I don't think we're really implementing the plan as originally planned back in 2020. Certainly we had put things on hold with the community center, and I think now with the schools getting the approval of so much dollars for building and field stuff and all that type of stuff. My assumption is that Trask probably goes on a little bit of a back burner. Do I foresee anything happening in the next couple of years for kind of getting some of those things going? Not really. I'm just kind of being honest there. Doesn't mean we have to unmark it, but I don't foresee something happening in the next year or two. So if some of those dots actually went away and maybe we looked at it again in like the 27, 28 timeframe, that probably makes a lot more sense.
Okay.
But that's just me speaking out loud without looking at this. And I see Chris, kind of nodding his head a little bit and kind of going, yeah, that probably makes sense. But we hadn't necessarily talked about that, as a, as a full group. So.
Yeah,
So
I think we had mentioned that a couple of meetings ago after the town meeting where the big expenditures got approved, and we thought that it's probably going to be pushed out. So it's not going to be immediate term that we address the Trask, Trask property stuff and any of the 4 parks master plan at this point. And like you said, Rick, I mean, I think the big thing right now is the softball field at Kiwanis and upgrading that and stuff. So, yeah.
Okay. So I can, what would be the time frame for the Kiwanis softball field? Add a line
Probably,
item for that.
my assumption is it's fall next year, right? For actual work to be done. I
26?
think anything that is going on now is, kind of conversations and planning leading up to that. You know, certainly would be looking at grants, you know, and grants, donations, to do a lot of that. Since it's maintenance, does that fall under some of the CPC stuff? Yeah, you know, maybe. So, you know, maybe that CPA grants, donations, things probably make sense in terms of the funding supply for it. You know, I wouldn't necessarily say recreation budget for that one though. So let's, you know, there may be a, you know, a piece of it within, you know, facility improvement things or something along those lines that some of that retcon budget may be able to be used, but, you know, I think we haven't gotten that far in those conversations yet.
Yeah, and just so I understand, Rick, I think the idea when those plans were sent from reading the emails attached to those was that it would go on the town warrant in the spring for
Yep.
getting funding?
Yep.
Okay,
And yeah, so, and when we had the meeting with them, May-ish, maybe early June, you know, I think the reality was we weren't going to be ready to bring it to like a fall piece this year.
right,
We were thinking spring in terms of, you know, looking at it from a funding standpoint, because we already had an approved warrant to, you know, to get monies assigned to investigate the work that needed to be done to make it compliant and, you know, kind of plan out what the workload would be. So that's the part that's going on now, right? You know, certainly then we started thinking about it and going, you know, best case is next fall before we would actually start doing like physical work to carry it out, assuming that it's an approved budget item from the town.
right.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so that helps a lot. I'll try to add something in there. I was just thinking for maintain existing rec facilities, would it be fair to say retcon budget in here as well?
I think so. I think,
Okay,
you know,
that's
I think, you know, I think retcon budget does fit into that one.
okay. So make some changes there, and then for the four parks master plan, would I don't want to put words in your mouth, but would review and implement be a fair statement there, or? But and I can also I'll take out those two years. That's all right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
okay.
would, yeah, I would definitely take out the 2 years. I think that also becomes a little bit of a lower priority, right? It's not
Okay,
like, depending on like if that's listed in that high priority color,
it is.
I don't think that that's the high priority
Okay,
piece for the town anymore either. So I would, you know, maybe moving it down to low isn't necessarily the right answer either, but you know, it's definitely lower on the totem pole now.
okay. So it's wrong color, but blue. I'll go for blue, which when which
I
is
think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
it'll be the medium.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, the higher priority one would, you know, the maintaining existing recreation facilities, of course. You know, certainly this newer one for, you know, Kiwanis softball field, you know, ADA compliance, right? And maybe that's even one that you put in there and make sure you call out the ADA, because my assumption is that's an eye catcher to kind of go, okay, yep. Well, we're supportive of ADA things, right? So,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
otherwise, yeah,
And-
I think the colors on the others kind of make sense. I would lower whatever the Lake Wildwood boat ramp improvement. I'm not sure we have anything on that, to be quite honest with you. I would, you know, unless you had something from Lakes and Ponds, Oh, sorry, that is in the Lakes and Ponds
It-
piece,
it-
right? So,
It is in
yeah,
theirs, yeah.
my apologies, yeah, I missed
Uh,
where the bullet was on that one.
We'll have to, it's on their agenda next week too. And they
Okay.
can, Lakes and Ponds, so they can talk about that. And let's see. Oh,
Yes.
then the funding for Kiwanis,
I,
what's the
I think that
source?
that's, I would start it with grants and then I'd go grants, CPA. I don't know, can we leave it at grants and CPA? I think those are gonna be our two main ones, and if there's a gap there, then we'll probably look to see what else we might be able to do from Retcom budget side. But I'm probably gonna leave it at those two for now.
Okay.
Or that would be my recommendation, so. Yeah, in I would say 26, 27 would be the two bullets. I don't think that extends into 28 or 29. Right, so it probably starts in 26, maybe it finishes in 26 as well, but maybe it carries into 27 a little bit.
Okay,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, other than that, I think that looks directionally correct to me.
okay.
Actually,
Alright, well,
there's one other thing I think we should add in the recreation section, and that is the replenishment of the beach sand, which
Okay.
would be this year, likely. I think we're, well,
Or this
26,
next spring.
25, 26.
Yeah, it was gonna be fall or spring, right?
Yep, yep.
Okay.
So we're working on that, and
And that's like a DPW,
the DPW, yeah, well, the money has been allocated, is basically coming from a warrant article.
okay,
Has been voted on and approved. So we have the funding for it. And then the other thing I was going to mention is the Fisk Ave project ended up buying one more set of Caltech, basically water treatment devices for stormwater. And so we can use that elsewhere. And one of the recommendations was we use it at Kiwanis Beach to treat the water that comes off the parking area, which basically right now just flows into the pond.
Yeah,
So,
okay,
so I can talk to Dennis a little bit more about whether or not he agrees that that's the best place to use it. I personally think it is. The idea of having the stormwater from the parking lot flow directly into Pratt Pond right at the beach strikes me as bad, but
okay. So I might put that, there's a sort of a water quality section up here, stormwater. I'd probably put
Okay.
that up here, Bill, above recreation.
yeah,
But,
wherever.
but maybe offline, you can give me exactly the language for that you want.
Yep.
Okay,
I can
I'll
do
just,
that.
let me just insert a row here for it.
yeah. I mean, so I guess the sand piece of it though, right? I mean, that's something that gets done every, what, 4 to 5 years?
Every 50 years.
50?
It's been 50
Really?
years since that sand was put in.
Oh, I could have sworn that either John or Gary or somebody had told me that they've replaced that sand a few times.
Well,
Or
I'm
they-
not aware of that. That could
or
be. I'm not aware of
may-
it.
Maybe, let me rephrase that. Maybe they've added new sand,
Mm,
right? Versus replaced, right? I don't think anyone's dug up anything. I think we've just brought in some new stuff and laid it down on top type of thing. So
This is a
maybe,
complete replacement project, so.
okay, so that could, that, very different then. Okay,
No, actually, I'm sorry. I think it's been 75 years since the original sand was put in. Roughly 1950,
uh-huh. All right.
at least as far as I could tell. The early history of Kiwanis Beach is a little cloudy because it was a quasi, basically town and Kiwanis organization project.
Got it. I was gonna make a joke and say, oh, just like the water. But boom.
Boom, boom.
So
Okay,
as far as the land is the church land is concerned,
Okay, okay, thank you for this input. I'll stop sharing.
all right.
so in
All
any
right,
case,
so yeah, moving over to the church area. Okay,
right, so the church has offered us, asked the town whether or not they're interested. It's about 25 acres, which is abuts the Trask property on the, well, I guess it'd be the west side, the smaller parcel. So in any case, it's inaccessible. The only way we can access it from the town perspective would be to cross through the land, the Trask land.
Yep.
So I guess, does the park project include much on that side?
we do have drawings and elements that are on that side, yes. Is there a natural spot for like a parking lot and access area? I think there is.
Okay, and you wouldn't object to that if we acquired the
Correct.
property? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and I can take a look at the plan to figure out where that might fit in, but just knowing that, and I guess the other question is, do you have any interest, and I'm not sure the terrain is right, but do you have any interest in acquiring it for recreation purposes?
Well-
Shaking your head no.
Well, it,
Answered very quickly.
is it, is it something that is totally a no? I wouldn't necessarily say that either. I think we're struggling right now with the fact that, we've got a master plan where I think we were thinking about getting in and, hey, here's, we're asked to kind of wait a little bit until after the community center is done, and now the next thing's up, and it isn't necessarily us, and now we've got the school pieces, the DPW's got, a new building need, and the list, the list keeps on coming. So, I don't, what is the appetite, by the town in order to, do something to develop that area? And if we can't do that with all, the 26 acres that has been gifted to the town, well, what are we going to do with another 25 on top of that?
Well, I
Right?
guess what I would do then is, from an acquisition perspective, is if we were to acquire it, I think we'd acquire it for permanent protection, but that could include certain recreation activities. So I think what we would do is just engage the Recreation Commission when we were drafting the conservation restriction that would protect it. So we
Yep.
you'd have the opportunity to seek uses that you think might be appropriate for recreation purposes.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was just trying to see whether or not I could quickly get to the master plan and kind of bring up a slide that shows that piece, and system doesn't want to be cooperating with me.
Well, I can do that on my own. And if I have any questions, I'll contact the Recreation Commission. The reason
Okay.
I'm kind of hurrying is I have to start the open space meeting in 4 minutes. So
Oh, okay.
I'm going to sign off while I do that. Thank you very
Yeah.
much for having us.
All right. Yep. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, folks. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Hey,
I was gonna say, did they? No, there you go. I was gonna say, where'd everyone go? My
Nice to
my
have
screen changed because I was trying to open up one of the
yep.
master plan things. So, okay. No, hey, that's good stuff. That's, it's probably the spirit of some of that cross-functional conversations and stuff that we had, what, a month? Yeah, probably a month ago now. So,
Yep,
At the
totally.
workshop, yeah.
Yep,
that
was good.
That openness.
On top of that,
all I was gonna say is I don't remember having that conversation with Mike in this type of a forum. I think that might have been Rich talking with Mike, coming up with that, coming up with that list and, putting in the appropriate data. Rich being the chair at that particular point in time, so.
I was just gonna add on, because it was actually something I was gonna bring up in this meeting, so it's relevant now. A while back, Joe had, at a department head meeting, Joe had kind of tapped us all and said, hey, coming down the line, we're going to work with an outside company to basically, help revamp the entire town's, not really master plan, but like timeline plan, and really see how it's all going to fit together. He had sort of done a version of it himself with, Excel and lines and whatever, but I think they wanted something a little more comprehensive. And he had said, heads up, we're going to be giving you all a date. I want to say originally it was like July 18th or something like that. And we were going to be, every department was going to be asked to come up with your asks of any money in the next handful of years, and like in detail where the funding's coming from, what's the specific cost, what are all the steps of each of those things. And basically, like, if you were given a bunch of money or you had access to a bunch of money, how would you spend it? Because we need to know what everybody's plans are. Once he announced he was leaving, it sort of kind of went to the wayside, and I think everyone just was maybe waiting to see if we were still doing it or what was going on. So I don't know if maybe that was also part of those departments getting ready, if and when we all get kind of tagged again to say, all right, we're ready to go. So it should be something that we're thinking of too, because I think they're looking for more detail than we currently have in any of our plans. And again, specifics, pricing, that kind of thing. We did redo the numbers for the master plan, I think my second year. So it's now been a few more years.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's worth our time to just ask them to redo the numbers again, because our plans have sort of shifted so many times.
Yeah.
But we may want to start, maybe put it on agenda item for the next meeting of, all right, what are our top 5? How do we figure out what these steps are? How do we figure out what the costs are? So let's say it takes 4 months for somebody to tag us in. We've done something over the next 4 months instead of kind of waiting for them to say, hey, start now.
Yeah, sure.
I have to step outside for a couple of minutes. I have 2 chickens that missed curfew, which means they are locked out of the house, and we have had bear in the neighborhood. So I'll be right back.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fun times.
Okay.
So maybe minutes from last?
Yeah.
Everybody take a peek at those.
Yeah, geez. I don't remember if there was something on there that I had an issue with.
Okay. Yeah, and
Um,
also just any actions that we need to review from those. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those, I think I had at one point a week and a half ago, and so, as the fall season is getting closer and closer, I don't remember if I had a question on something or not. So,
Okay.
I just don't remember. So
Okay.
nothing, I don't remember. So the good news is nothing's jumping out at me. Maybe the bad news is nothing's jumping out at me as well, but usually I'm pretty good at remember if there's something that was alarming.
Right.
I'm usually good to remember that either I'm sending a message on those quick or I'm bringing that up. So.
All right. I mean, just take a peek in the next couple of days. I'm not going to do the minutes like tomorrow anyway. So if there's anything that jumps out, let me know.
Yeah. All right.
And I can make any changes in the minutes. But otherwise, I guess we can provisionally approve them.
I think so.
Okay,
Make a motion to provisionally accept the meeting minutes from July.
approve.
All right, very good. All right,
Yep.
do we have any financials?
Nope.
So so here's a statement that I'm gonna make. And this might not be great because it's being recorded, but oh well.
Okay.
In that community center meeting, Paul made mention one or two or maybe even three times, and I kind of thought it as a potential dig, right? Of spending money that you don't have, right? Because we certainly had a couple budgeted items that went over.
Yep.
Oh, Bill's back.
Hi, Bill. Oh, you're muted.
You're on mute though, Bill.
Oh, and he's gone.
Okay.
Did he sign into the wrong meeting, maybe?
He may have jumped back in on the wrong one. Yeah.
We scared him off.
Yeah.
Who knows? So, so he had mentioned, about cost and, spending more than you had and all that type of stuff. And certainly we went over a couple of things. But if we've already spent, at a higher rate than we did last year in the first 2 months, how the heck are we supposed to know that?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
We don't have anything official from our town accountant on revenue since April and nothing in terms of expenses since May. Are we, should we have our own internal thing so that way we're keeping track of stuff? Yeah, we probably should. And do we? Right? Yeah, but nothing's
And-
official in that sense.
Right. And when the internals don't match the externals, we sort of say, why we did it, why did we do it?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I did pull up Vadar, and a lot of the expenses are there. It's definitely not a clear picture.
Yeah.
A lot of it doesn't add up, meaning there's things missing. So it doesn't really help us. And then the revenue basically just isn't there.
Yeah.
Because it's always a month behind, and now with
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I did
yeah.
go down. Yeah, I mean, I did go down and talk to Joe about these discrepancies, like a month ago, or maybe a little bit more, and I didn't quite 100% understand what he was saying about Kenny getting invoices and then they weren't in some format and then he didn't approve them right away. Like, I didn't quite understand what the issues were. All I knew that I told him there's a disconnect between our internal and
Yep.
and what's been
Yep.
being reported. So he did say he would reach out to you, Maria, to try and resolve this. I don't know.
Yeah, we've had some conversations. I think I might have talked about it at the last meeting, because one of the bigger ones was a conversation I had before the last meeting where I had met with Kenny, I had talked to Joe, kind of all of this, because again, end of year always shines a big light on everything.
Right.
And what he did say, I did understand what he was getting at, which was basically we were submitting things not in the way that Kenny needed them to be submitted. And so
Right.
Kenny would sort of have like I can get to it quickly because it's done right, and I have to get to it later because it's done wrong pile. And instead of letting us know that things were being done wrong, for how many years have I been here? Things were
Right.
being done wrong in the same way because I never knew. I'm
Right,
submitting a
right.
template. And so I use the same
Yeah.
template every single that kind of thing. And Joe, was honest that he said, I told Kenny that's on him. Like, if you're taking 3 weeks to do something because it's done wrong, but they don't know it's done wrong, then that's on you.
Right.
If you tell them and then they do it wrong after you've told them, send it back.
Right.
Make them fix it, right?
Right.
Don't spend 3 weeks and then we're all confused. Send it back and say you did it wrong. Here's what to do. And then keep doing that. They'll catch up. Like, they'll figure it out. If you keep rejecting their stuff, they will catch up. and it's kind of what I've been telling you all, and that's what I told Kenny, that's what I told Joe. I was like, agreed, right? We are not looking to do less work. We're looking to do correct work so everything
Yes.
moves better.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so I think we are slowly starting to get better in that way. But again, there are still things that sit and we don't know they sit until someone says, hey, what's going on with that? A prime example is we had a refund, just kind of a normal, the beach was closed refund for kids at play, and they hadn't saved their credit cards. We have to issue them a check because they don't want an account credit, blah, blah, blah. Just these little details that like come up. And this was from the time the first week that the beach was closed, and the check was ready today.
Ugh.
Yeah.
And like, luckily, the family hasn't tapped me, but they absolutely could have. So I messaged them and saying your check is ready, pick it up at any time you want. But
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's tough. So things like that where you're going, I don't what to do better. And I think this is going to be, a blunt conversation with the new town manager of,
Yeah.
this is our biggest need. Our biggest need is support. Our biggest need is support on financials. We have access to Vadar, but if we don't know how to read something or it doesn't match the reality because of timeline, then we're paying what is it? Hundreds of dollars, $1,000, $2,000, whatever we're paying. I don't remember
Yeah.
how much it is,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
a lot for something,
Yeah.
for a tool that's not actually helping us because of the update. And I'm not
Right.
taking all the responsibility off of me. I can do things better. I just need support to learn how.
Well,
Yeah.
you need to know if you're doing something wrong. You can't fix what you don't know.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I know even going in and looking at some of that data, it's not always 100% clear what it was for, right? And that's partly because I'm not necessarily in the day-to-day and knowing, okay, this week we had to hit Walmart, BJ's, and so on and so forth. So here's all the things from this week versus the previous week and all that.
Yeah.
And that's not really what I'm getting at. It's just a matter of going, okay, this, that other $4,000 thing that was for what looked to be a theater company, but
Right.
it's really, it was
MyRec.
really MyRec. You can go,
Yeah.
huh? I don't understand how we got there, right? And it kind of like, all right, that just didn't seem directionally correct to me, because that's a big expense to the point where we should know what that one is pretty easily.
Good boy.
And we're we're really making an assumption that that's exactly what it was because of timing and the amount, right? And is it a correct assumption? Yeah, I'd be willing to put a paycheck on it, right?
Yep.
So
Right.
kind of one of
There
those
shouldn't be
scenarios of
anything
going,
else with that dollar amount.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
okay.
But
All right.
and I think talking about financials, Rick, kind of your point of we're in our prime spending time of the year, and we're flying blind. Again, internal tracking, but officially we're flying blind.
Yep.
And then we go into our slow season where there's not much we can do because we've already spent it all.
Right.
And then we hope to make it all back the next year.
Yep.
And what happened this year was we didn't, which is also weird. And one of the things I want to dig into with you all, maybe Rick at some point when you can, is this year we had a great year and our expenses are too high. Like I don't know what to do. I know there's,
Right.
a pinky promise from the finance committee from when we met with them about the program director position, that kind of 15 grand that they didn't approve, they would say you're fine.
We'll relook at it again in the fall. Yeah.
Right. Like, we're not going to already pull it off, but we kind of know it's probably going to need to come off if you overspend. So we're sort of gracing you a $15,000 buffer. But and I can pull this up because I was looking at it. And my brain, this is helpful. Let me Of course, I have a million things open. I think it's this one. So basically, and let me know when it kind of pops up and you all can see.
So,
Yeah, there it
Yeah.
is.
Okay, so basically, this is the one that I started doing that we said was helpful, where it's tracking registration every day.
Mhm.
And the biggest thing I look at is we have green, 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 which is saying this year's is above the average of the last few years. And
Yep.
there have been some small ones I took out, you know, so if there was 1 week that we canceled, I just didn't include it in the average, so it didn't plummet the average, things like that. But you know, kind of slowly but quickly scrolling, you're going to notice most of this year we are above. If you see green, we're above average. We're above average for each specific day compared to that day, you know, of the last 4-ish years, you know, combined. And yes, COVID was in there, so that's good, but we're still above. And we
Right.
haven't necessarily been other years. And then, you know, end of year, it got a little bad. And then this one, the only reason we're all red is we capped registration because most of our staff went back to school. So we
Yeah.
actually
Yeah, right,
capped
right.
those ourselves. This was a set number that we were like, we're not going over.
Yeah.
So that's why this is red. Again, next year, this will be taken out as an outlier, not included in the average type of thing. But anyway, so we had a good year is basically what I'm saying. So what I looked at was I popped over to our income, and again, this is just what I could pull off of Vadar if I'm reading Vadar, right? And just saying, what is our current income, you know, income for this year? And what I actually did was sorry, this wasn't Vadar, this was pulling from the website. So this is just money in for
This is
Kids at
mine.
Play and LIT for 2025.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, not looking at people paid by check, people paid by cash. It's such a small amount. This gives us a pretty good number. So we're at 181, you know, and a half. Which seems pretty good, except for we're supposed to be at, you know, 270,
Yeah.
but you know, but also I don't know. That's where we're at. Last year at this time we were at 171, and last year, you know, we got ourselves in trouble. So not a ton better. But then you look at expenses, and again, this one, I just kept it simple. I know it's more complicated. I didn't get equipment or any of that, but I just look at staffing because that's our big expense.
Mhm.
So just looking at Kids at Play staffing, this year we spent, you know, 113. And that's not including my pay. So you put my pay on top of this, and from the biggest program bringing in, and then staff pay and my pay, we're already over. And I'm kind of saying I don't, you know, and that's a good year. We had a good year.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Right.
And I don't really know what to do with that. I don't know if I don't know.
So the 774, that's just that new program director, yeah?
Yep. This one.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so it wasn't necessarily the 15 that we were asking, but it's
Right.
still significant, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Because there were a decent number of weeks that he, you know, took a day off or something like that.
Yeah.
He didn't work as much ahead as we had planned on. We thought this person might work, you know, we gave him kind of 40 hours, graced them 40 hours. Like if you work 1 week over a month's time leading up in prep, and he didn't, you know, we only hired him a couple weeks ahead. And anyway, so we graced it a lot. But yeah, that was about half of what we thought it might be.
Yeah. Mm.
You know, and
Doing
looking at
wrong.
right,
What
looking
have
at
we done?
previous years, that's even, you know, that's less than last year. Again, we got ourselves in trouble last year, so it's good that it's less and we made more, but not by a lot.
Yeah.
You know, we spending $5,000 less when you're talking about $100,000 and making 10 grand more when you're talking about $180,000. is
Right.
not a really moving the needle.
True, but that is shifting it, because that ends up being a double positive, right? So,
Right. So
um,
we're 15 grand better than we were last year.
yeah, no, absolutely. So,
Yeah.
and
And we and
certainly,
again, and we didn't have this position. So if you want to say we're
Right.
22 grand better than we were last year, you know, the things, and again, one of the things I want to point out is I got paid a lot more this year than we had planned for, right? I think I was at like 68, and then they upped me, and then they upped me, and I'm at 76 now. So that comes straight out of our budget. And
Yeah.
I, sure, again, selfishly, I'm like, thanks everybody, but also I have to pay for myself. So
Right.
what's your plan here? If you're giving me a raise and then telling me too late that I have to pay for it, what are we doing? So, that's and that's 8 grand of that. Let's call it even 22 to be kind.
Yeah.
That's 8 grand right there of that just goes straight out. So it's one of those that I kind of don't really know what to do. We are not buying a lot of equipment. We really aren't. We're cutting staff down to like just a hair above the numbers to keep our 6-to-1 ratio. We're not overstaffing.
Right.
Yeah.
We had a good year registration wise. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and what's it, what is at the end of the day, what's it going to come down to? Are we, do we have to raise the price that little bit more, right? I mean, I think we'll be on a cycle now where I think this was the second year of the 2-year price, right? In terms of kids at play value. So we'll have to take a look at that again and just make sure is the ratio of kids kids to staff to income dollars to all our other pieces, is that still appropriate?
Right.
Right.
I mean, does that have a chance of even making up that kind of a shortfall though? It sounds like it's a pretty big shortfall.
Yeah, I mean, there's other years that, I think that's gone in to be, gone in to be, a positive, where it's come out being a positive. So, so to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure either. I mean,
Yeah.
certainly. So I think what ended up happening a few years ago, we really, when the minimum wage went from $12.75 up to like 15, right? We didn't really add that much in terms of the overall cost per week, right?
Right.
It changed a little bit, but it didn't change a ton. So
Mhm.
our outbound spend now is a ton more, right? I think we were still in a positive to a point where I think we were trying to keep it manageable for parents to sign kids up for the program,
Mhm.
right? And not make it so expensive. I mean, this was before Maria, but there was at one point we were up around the 255, 260 mark per week. And we actually dropped it by like $40 a week because we're like, we're getting outrageous, and we weren't, now we weren't spending, the same back out. So yeah, okay, it brought in the kitty, but the numbers were decreasing for the number of kids that were signing up because we were pricing ourselves out of it. So,
Hmm.
there's a fine line there of saying, okay, well, what are we charging for and what aren't we charging for? So,
And in comparison with other towns in the
Yeah, I was
surrounding area
gonna
that
ask
could be
that.
competing, like how were we doing with that?
Comparably, right.
We're pretty in the middle, maybe a hair on the low side some years, but we're not low, and we're not high.
We're not,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
we're higher than, we're either similar or higher than Mendon, but their field trips are free. I think Grafton we're similar with, and they, I think, go to the beach for free. I don't know if they do other things for spend, but
Yeah.
the fact that we charge for field trips is actually different. And I've asked them, Mendon, at least, I was just talking to Dan today actually about stuff, but I was asking him a while ago, I was like, how do you all do free field trips? And he goes, I don't know, they give us some money and we just make it all work.
Yeah.
Because they don't really do the same funding, cycle that
Right,
we do.
Right.
yeah.
Well, make it all work is not good enough. We need to know their magic.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Yeah, well, he might be open to it right now because I just shared some information about our class and comp plan that, raised my salary because they're doing one right now, and he's going,
Okay.
I don't think this makes sense. So I said, hey, here's it's all public. Here's all our information.
Yeah, so he's got to get back. They're doing
Yeah,
some magic there.
I'll reach out and be like, all right, I need a little more details on what you all do. He
Yeah.
also he's not the point person for their program. But anyway. But yeah, and Grafton, I was chatting with Grafton maybe a month ago about some things, and I was like, hey, when things slow down, I want to pick your brain on how you all run. We're competition, but also we can work together, and just want to understand, like, how do other towns do this, especially with a new town manager coming in. We might be able
Yeah.
to say, like, look, it's just been chaos, and each year, fingers crossed that we don't overspend, because there's really nothing, we're spending before we see the income. There's not, unless that
Right.
reverses, there's not a ton we can do to help ourselves if we don't get the registrations.
Exactly.
It's interesting because I've been watching the emails, obviously, and I noticed several Grafton students just recognizing names that are on my caseload and so forth.
Mhm.
So they're coming to us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we get
So we're
people
doing-
from all over.
Maybe
Somebody
we're
was just
doing
saying they
something
came
better
from
than them.
Ashland. And I was like, how'd you find us from Ashland? And she goes, well, we just moved here. We didn't kind of realize that around here that's far.
Oh,
She's like, it's not far, but for us, everything was far. So we thought that sounded close. And she
Right.
said the mix of, being on the water and the field trips and whatever, and the price. And I was like, great. It seems like if you did a search and we were competitive and
Yeah.
worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
think it's
again,
something-
we had a good year, so it's not like we're struggling to get people to come right now.
Right.
So where's it going?
yeah,
Where's
if we
all the
could just
money
keep-
going?
If we could just keep the pond open, it would be even better.
I know.
Yeah.
And well, that being one, and maybe the other one, kind of note to self, the ratio of what we hire, right? We need, as much as maybe we'd like to have those sporty athlete type kids, maybe we need some ones that aren't leaving halfway through August to start preseason activities.
I would love to say it was even that. It was that I hired too many BVT kids.
Ah,
They started a week early.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true too. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Oh yeah,
just
it's
just-
in the notes, because
it's
also all
just-
of our lifeguards. I mean, I only lifeguards. I can't be that picky. I hired all but one this year, but they were all
Yeah.
college kids, so we had no lifeguards the last week.
this
yeah,
is it. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
hey, lessons learned. It's just we mark it down and kind of go, all right, little process improvement things for tweaking things for next year.
Yeah.
And as far as the cost pieces, I think once we get the true financials done, so let's think about that going forward, right? We'll probably in that October window, we'll be looking to say, let's start thinking about the 2027 budget, right?
Like,
I know it's, it's not that far away, but it's just one of those, we know we'll need to start having some answers there, because we're going to need to, really take a look and say, all right, how exactly is that working? And how are we getting to maybe some of those other numbers that we are putting there for the zero sum game,
Mhm.
right? To make sure that, A is lining up with B.
Yeah.
And Rick, I know, you've been full out with soccer, but when you kind of have a second to breathe, it might be worth a, meeting at town hall, when we get those numbers, and
Oh, of
just
course. Yeah.
sit at the desk, spread everything out, and put it on the big screen type of thing. And obviously,
Absolutely.
Laura and Chris, anytime you want. I
Mm-hmm.
know Rick tends to be my point person for that, but
Sounds like a great time.
staring at spreadsheets and
But
budgets.
see,
Yeah.
I could do that. I'll take
There
the
you
walk
go.
down.
Yeah.
I'll go there, my
Yeah.
eyes will glaze over and I'll sort of skimmy on out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, honestly, I think once,
No.
hopefully, I have no idea when we're gonna get something that comes in and says, hey, 2025 is now closed. We've got 2026 posted at this particular point in time, of being able to, kind of look at the full picture for 2026. And then, look at the full picture for 2025, and then, cross the 2025 and 2026 for summer-based pieces, just to see if we can, make heads or tails of the rest of it.
Yeah.
So, yep. Okay. Yeah, well, we'll plan some time. I'll assume, I don't know, second week is September, right?
If that early, yeah.
I'm just thinking, kind of the, not the week, not next week, right? Being the long weekend this weekend, but, either the week after, or maybe if it's even the week after that, right? But I'll try to plan something in there so I can try to block some time out and, kick that thing around. So.
Yeah. And I know you're super busy. If it's an evening or something, as long as I have enough time to figure out daycare, bring her to my mother-in-law's. She lives, 10 minutes, not even, from town hall. So drop Joy off, go, we can meet at 6 or something one night. Like,
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be that you're blocking work or anything. We can make it work.
No, that's okay, right? I mean, they're fully aware of the amount of volunteer time that I spend, right? Trust me, right? Because and honestly, I enter the fact that, not that I enter a ton of time, but I enter a fair amount of time. I'm heads and shoulders above everyone else in terms of volunteer time in my group,
Oh, I would imagine.
right? So,
Yeah.
Anyway, all right.
All right, I'll jump into the rest. So, we don't have a ton of major things. And I know I didn't actually send this along. Honestly, I don't even remember if I sent it along the first time. I kind of thought I had all day today, and then I realized maybe I never did because we canceled the meeting. But basically, we don't have a ton of huge things. I think I might have mentioned this, but library and COA were talking about getting access to Vadar, and I was, again, with how little it's benefiting us, I was really pushing, can we just share a license? The only issue we'd have with that is if we're all trying to use it at the same time, only one person can use it at a time. I feel like each department's going to go in once or twice a month.
Right.
I'm not really worried about us overlapping, and it being an issue. And if it is, then we say busted, it didn't work, we'll have to separate. But I'm going to try to push for that, because splitting our license fee would be nice. And I'm sure they would appreciate it too. So we'll see.
The only note that I'll make there from poking around, I'm not sure I can see things from the library through our license.
You cannot. They would have to expand that. And that was one of Joe's points was, they would have to change who's allowed to do what. And so
Yeah.
it would sort of open up finances to other departments. And
Okay.
I kind of said, I don't care. They can,
Yeah, okay. All right.
everything's
So
public
fair.
record. So, they can
Exactly.
Yeah, see what they want.
Yep.
I don't expect Matthew to be like clicking around our finances just out of curiosity.
I don't see that either.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would.
Maybe. Yeah.
When I
In
actually
all-
had time to do so,
Yeah,
I would,
in all your free time.
because I've
Yeah.
looked for it.
Yeah.
Well, you're not
Right.
Matthew, so.
You're not. Yeah,
Well,
you're
no,
not-
but in honesty, it was for that particular item. I was
Mhm.
poking to see whether or not I could see the other
You could do
areas,
it.
and I
Yeah,
couldn't,
yeah.
and hence I'm not so sure whether or not that would suffice, and that's why I mentioned it. That's all.
Yep. So new way of doing registration numbers. Again, I showed you all, it's not actually 100% official. There's maybe 5 registrations off, only because there were some people paid by check because they were signing up last minute and they showed up in the morning and said, hey, do you have room? Blah, blah, blah. Those little things, since the last time I ran the numbers. So it's close. It's a handful of kids maybe off, but it's close. So like I said, our numbers were looking really good this year. I think the marketing, Chris and Laura, that you two were pulling together really helped. And I think if we can maybe in November start talking about the marketing plan for the next year,
Yeah.
that might be really good to just make sure we're hitting the ground running.
I'd still
And
like
even
to
on-
wrap it up, so.
Yeah. And even on top of that, the program director position, I didn't actually put it in here, but the program director position, so Drew was this year, he's made it clear, he says he's looking for a big boy job this year. So he had a great summer, planning to send his kids back, no bad feelings, but just moving on with his life, which is fair. And so we are going to be again looking for a program director. And I personally think, speaking of, November or even October, open it early, and just see who we can get by having it open longer now that the job description's there. And then especially if we're able to find anyone over the winter, we can talk to them about, they can really take a lot more ownership. What marketing stuff do you want to do? Do you want to do a
Right.
video? Hey, I'm the new director, blah, 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 anything like that. Or do they, want to do an interview with the newspaper about the new director coming, this year, or especially if it's a teacher that the kids know, something like that. Just keeping them involved. Can they sit in on some of the interviews and have some say in who their staff's going to be?
Yeah.
So anyway, to me, there's not really any harm, but it's August, October, November comes quick. So thinking about this stuff now to be ready for then, to be ready for 26.
Yep.
But that's my opinion of that, especially again, with a clean break of the person from last year. It's not going to be like an awkward, we're searching while they're interested or anything along those
Right.
lines.
And getting in
Um,
early is the way to go. Definitely. You get bigger pool, better pickings.
Yep. Field trips, so they all filled up this year. We had a couple of small comments. Mostly everything was great. The kids felt like there were maybe too many farm-ish ones, going to see animals between Davis farmland and then the Southwick Zoo and then the Ecotarium. They said those 3 just kind of were a little too similar. So maybe cut it down to 2 or 1. I think Ecotarium might need to be we've tried it a couple of times. It just seems too small for the length of time our field trips are. They get bored pretty quick. And a couple things. One, they said just 2 rounds of the Breezy Water Park, one at the beginning, one at the end. Kids love it. I don't think they would go, be sad about it. But the other thing they said is just, going to the movies, right? Usually you want to say, hey, keep them off the screens, but we're an outdoor program where there's literally no indoors and there's no screens and there's no anything, especially if there's a, cool new movie coming out that year that we can know ahead of time. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't super love that idea because our whole thing is no screens, but I
Grafton
know
does-
other programs
yeah,
do it.
Grafton does that for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
they contacted me about that.
I think
There's a
Mendon does.
blockbuster, some big deal showing up. I could see that.
Yeah, maybe a specific year. I don't know if we would do it, but anyway, just thinking about that, But otherwise, I really polled people, should we do it a different day? Should we do, no, people love the field trips. They want to do them, just again, less farm animals only because it felt repetitive, but otherwise they were happy and good.
Good.
right.
We did a lot of like exit interview style things this year, so there's a lot of notes.
Good, good.
Beach, so we are officially closed down, and Chris and I were there today cleaning up the tent, and the what do I want to say? The docks and the buoys and everything are all cleaned up. I thought DPW was going to keep it open through Labor Day, open meaning left out, all the equipment out there, just because people, they know that Labor Day weekend might be busy for swimming. But being so short-staffed, I'm guessing they just had a day where it made sense, and they said, "Let's get it done."
Yep.
If we have the day to do it, that's my assumption. But otherwise, closed down. It was a pretty good year. I mean, we had awesome lifeguards. The gatekeepers did a great job. It's just the cutting shifts. Cutting shifts is tough, especially with the closure of the beach. And then again, they were all college students. I think we had one high school student this year. So there was no option for that last week of kids at play. We weren't able to have lifeguards, and then beyond, everyone was literally gone.
Yeah.
Again, unless we get younger applicants, there's not really a way around it. We
Right.
knew as of, I think, week 3. So we started advertising, I think, as of week 4 or 5, like, hey, week 9, there's going to be no lifeguards, and allow people to cancel, well ahead, no cancellation fee, all of that. So we didn't get a ton of pushback, but it
Okay.
was just, unfortunate, but that is what it is. Site improvement. So trying to kind of, make sure we're using that site improvement budget to the most of our ability. We had talked about redoing the upstairs of the Kiwanis building. Winter is a good fall to winter to early spring is the time to do that. So kind of the how-to. I really haven't done a big expense type of thing since we're, working for Upton yet. So knowing of what are the first steps of this? Do we immediately try to get quotes from companies and then get them, to the town hall? Do we bring someone in to give us a guesstimate, an guesstimate of it? Do we go straight to DPW to say, hey, is this our budget, but you're taking the lead? I don't know. I don't know what the first step is here.
Yeah.
I mean, do we have to
Go ahead,
come up
Chris.
with our own plan and our own desires for that space before we approach anybody?
Yeah, I
It
don't
seems
know.
seems like we do. I mean,
Yeah.
if it's like rodent proofing or other structural things or other
Yeah.
room partitionings, whatever.
Yeah,
Storage
honestly,
spaces.
maybe an inspector might be our first step.
Yeah, that's a good
Mold
point.
Mold and rodent.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what? That might not be a bad idea to have. I can't think of his name now. But the new, the new building inspector, right?
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe it's one where you have him come down and just go. I mean, obviously the floor goes 4 different directions.
Yeah.
And just saying, what does he think about over the overall structure of the building?
Yeah.
We'd like to make the upstairs use, more, a usable area if needed, right? And, certainly it's not that we're not using it, we certainly are, but, we're obviously, we're not allowing just everybody to go up. It's
Right.
just, what else, like, what is the scope of, we probably just need a good scoping statement to say, hey, we're thinking we'd like to do something like this. And if it's just a matter of, maybe the floors get a little bit more leveled and we tear up the carpet, maybe there's some hardwood or, something that goes down that's a little bit, or even linoleum, right, that
That's
goes down, so
cleanable.
it's easy
Yeah.
to clean, right?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
something along those lines that just say, it makes it a little bit more friendly and usable. I think once we do that though, that's gonna kick in an ADA thing and you know that Lynn will go, then that means you really need to fix the steepness of the stairs
Exactly.
in order to get up.
Yep.
Yep.
Right?
What if it's more of like a health thing? I mean, could we get the health
Right.
people involved just to go up there and check? Because obviously they check businesses in the area, so
Yeah.
why not check that and say, these are the improvements that could be made there?
So
It
it's
might-
interesting. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, I'm done.
Well, no, I was gonna say it's interesting because we do have someone from the health department every year since we store food that we cook
Exactly.
to sell. And what's hard is so the areas that we do that stuff, it's a chest freezer. We keep
Right.
everything at the right temp. We pass all the things. That we still know in a different part of that same upstairs, we have mice eating away the cardboard on the t-shirts. And so then
Right,
I have to
right.
run all the t-shirts through my, washing machine before our staff can wear them that year. Like these things. So I agree with you. I would be a little hesitant about how much we want to open ourselves up to
Hmm.
early before we have a plan.
Mhm.
Only because there's no going back once
Right.
certain
Right.
things. But if we're committing, if we're, and I think we have to say, is this for staff or is our goal is to open it up to kids for the program? If it's for staff only, I think we have one level. If it's to open up to kids, we know we're going to have to tackle ADA,
Yep.
So I
Yeah.
think, Chris, like you said, we have to figure out our scope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe we put that, again, agenda item for the next meeting of let's all take the month to think about it and come in and say, this is what it looks like. If you're comfortable, I can talk, I think it's John. I can talk to John and see if he can, pop by and just kind of talk through and then maybe write up a quick thing that I can send along so we're all a little bit more prepared for the next meeting.
Is he building inspector? Who is John?
Yeah. He's
Building,
the,
okay.
I think it's John or Joe, but I think it's John,
Okay,
the new building inspector.
got it.
Yeah. I for whatever reason, I can't think of his name either, but yeah, I mean, I'd almost, as funny as it sounds and go, any chance that people are free at some point, this weekend, and we just meet up down there and just have a quick little social of, hey, how about, this is plan A, plan B, and we can actually look at the area, right?
Yeah.
And kind of go, hey, maybe the first third, we're gonna cut carpet here. This part
Mhm.
gets, refinished with linoleum or something along those lines, and this is for just the staff. If we were to do that, this is kind of our just the staff area for improvement type plan versus would like to go on to the next thing. The next thing would be, hey, it's bad weather. We can throw a projector up on the wall and it's a movie day and it's inside and, there's different shifts of people that come in and go out and do other things and have a kind of a different staging element to being able to get the kids, either out of the rain or, maybe on those 95-degree days, kind of out of the sun. Not that it's
Right.
going to be any cooler up there, but
Yeah. I could-
Well, exactly. Yeah.
It feels, maybe it's just me, it feels like a huge difference between staff only and getting kids up there.
Yes.
Totally.
oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Huge.
It definitely would be, right? And, but, is that, I almost hate to say it, is that, the one of the other things that would go on to Mike's list, right? I know at one point I had even mentioned, do we do like a bathroom upgrade, right?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
quite honestly, a bathroom upgrade, probably just as important. It may be even a little bit more important to some.
Yeah.
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 Well,
Totally.
and I think kind of like Mike's list was pointing out, right? These aren't solo projects. So bathroom would be a mix between DPW and us.
Yeah.
You know, the upstairs would be just us. Right? And then who knows, you know, what else? A dock going out into the water might be a mix of Lake and Ponds and us, right? Like we can,
Right.
these aren't so maybe part of it, and Mike Antonellis, you know, is the man with all this stuff. He's been, at least at one point, was, you know, taking the lead on trying to look up grants for the bathrooms and kind of say like, all right, let's get this going.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a meeting pulling him in and saying, hey, we have these couple of projects. You're the expert here in terms of literally the town planner, right? In
Yep.
terms of grants,
Yep.
steps, what is the ABC? What are our options here? What triggers what, you know?
Right.
And maybe we just pick his brain, you know, and again, to keep it simple, maybe it's two of us go set up a meeting with him during the workday, you know, me and one of you, and just say, all right, these are our questions.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Help, you know,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
recreation, we're not planner, or we're
Yeah.
not deep, you know, help.
Right.
Exactly.
What's our step here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
I talked with Joe a little bit about this too, because I was on, I think a couple of meetings ago,
Yeah.
to look at what they're doing with ADA compliance and grants and all that stuff. And what Joe told me is that they actually are applying for they have applied for ADA grants.
Yep.
And they're going to find out sometime in the early fall,
Okay.
Yep.
I think this was mainly for the bleacher piece.
Mm.
Mhm.
So I think it's definitely worth having a meeting with Mike. And I'm willing to you know, meet with you, Maria, with him if you want to
Yeah.
set something up.
Yeah.
And then for us going to Kiwanis upstairs building thing, when do we want to do that? I mean, I could do it on Sunday if we need to, or if that works for people, but
Yeah, I'm
What-
free at Sunday.
what sounds good?
Let's see, Sunday.
It's probably gonna be like maybe 45 minutes, right?
Yeah. I think just as long as it's early, I think I'm okay.
Yep. I could do early.
Um,
What do you consider early?
I was just gonna say.
so let's see. So I'm just gonna say, let's see, what time is this at 1 o'clock? Okay, so more than likely by noon time, I may need to be in Dudley because my son's second game of the season is quote unquote senior day
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
already, right?
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So, you know, usually those are like the last home
Right.
game of the season. No, they're
Right.
doing it like the second home game of the season.
Is it
Go
family
figure.
day? Is that why they're making family day senior day?
No, all it just says is senior day. I think they did it. I think they looked at the schedule and picked an opponent that they know that they should like do very
Win.
well against and say
There you
we're
go.
gonna do it on that day.
Yeah, okay,
So-
fair enough. What
so-
about
About like-
Saturday?
10
What about
10 a.m.
Saturday?
10?
Well, Sunday morning would be tough. I might be able to make it work, but is Saturday an option before I try to move stuff around?
It's gotta be in the morning for me. I gotta go to a wedding on Saturday, yeah.
Okay.
But the morning is probably fine.
Again, what, 10 a.m. on Saturday?
10?
I can do tennis on Saturday. You get
Rick,
me
you
much
good?
earlier and it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean,
stay
I
up
can do
until
that.
2 in the morning. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, it's just not gonna happen.
All right,
I
10
mean, I'll-
Saturday.
I'll be with the baby, but that's all right.
10 Saturday.
Uh-oh.
We
Someone's
have a-
someone's gonna be able to get up.
I'm grabbing my book. Hold on.
I was gonna say she's gonna go, oh, you're bringing Joy with you? Well, I'll definitely be up in there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
My wife may come too.
yeah, there you go. She can hang out with Joy on the beach.
There you go.
Enjoy. I will be there.
Yeah.
Bring baby Laura will show up.
That's,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I said earlier as you were walking away, Laura.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, 10 o'clock
Yeah,
at
But,
Columbus.
but I'm 100% fine with that as well, right?
I'm good. Yep.
And, you know, I mean, not that I want to belabor the point of other things down there, but when we do look at maybe some of those other drawing schematics
Yeah.
that I sent through to talk about, you know,
Yep.
Softball.
maybe
yeah.
that's a good little walkthrough of, you know, hey, this is what this one might tend to look like.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
I can print those out.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Mhm.
And you know, I was chatting with Joe today. Tomorrow's his last day, and we didn't know if we would overlap. And he sort of said, "All right, I'm officially handing off the softball fields project to, you know, you and Mike. So next week or whatever, touch base, like pick it up, you know, but it's obviously not going to be led by Joe anymore. So you know,
Yeah.
making sure that we work with Mike. And again, you know, Mike's the man. So working with
Yeah.
him, he knows all this stuff. We don't have to try to do it without him. But teaming up and kind of seeing what those next steps are and what we're pushing for.
Is
Mhm.
Mike our new TM?
Mike is not. Mike is the town planner.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike Antonellis.
Do we have a new TM?
We do not. Dennis from DPW, the head of DPW, is the interim.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, he did it between the last two. So
Oh, he
when,
did. Okay.
yeah.
Town's still here. I guess that's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
So who's gonna do set up the meeting with Mike?
I can set up the meeting with Mike, and that's with you and me and Mike, right, Chris?
Sure,
The
that's
three of
fine. Yeah.
us. Yeah.
Yep. I'll send you the days that I'm not gonna be here, but yeah.
Okay. Tuesday, Thursdays tend to be best for me.
Okay.
So, you know, just whatever
Yeah.
dates and times work for you, Tuesday, Thursdays.
I'll let you know what weeks I'm gonna be in town for September. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay.
Great. Then I'll see what works for him. All right, moving on. So pickleball. So this is one I would love to get settled tonight. I've been pushing you know, Joe, Dennis, Bill, the transition crew from Joe to Dennis and Bill. But basically indoor pickleball, it's right around the corner. We typically do November 1st through March 31st. For indoor pickleball, both Saturday and Sunday from 8 to 2. So they're 2-hour blocks, 8 to 10, 10 to 12, 12 to 2 on
Mhm.
both days. And the last 2 years, we have actually extended and included April because April had just been rainy and cold enough that they asked if we could do it one more month.
Yep.
And so Joe had tapped us and said the cleaning crew fee, the utility fee, it's, you know, not huge, but it's not nothing, especially that's 6 hours, 2 days, you know, that's 12 hours a weekend for 4 months, you know, right? 5 months? Wait, November, December, January, February, March, April? Is that 6 months?
That's
It
6 months.
is.
Whoa, okay. So that's a lot, right? It adds
Yeah.
up. So basically they said, is there a way for you all to cover? I know I had reached out to you all many times and said I think we should do an additional fee for indoor pickleball. I've kind of picked Marilyn's brain. She didn't push back too hard. She said, you know, some people might say some things, but I kind of said it seems like we're probably going to just do it. So you help me with how, but I think it's going to happen. And what we've whittled it down to is the idea of doing it the same as volleyball, which is about a weekish ahead. We can do it earlier, you know, 2 weeks ahead if we want. We open up the single day for pickleball. So we open, and if we even want, we can open up the, you know, 10 to noon, noon to 2, whatever. But probably we're just going to do the day and let them self-organize who's in which
Yep.
blocks.
Yeah.
But basically just we open up, we make it a daily fee. So you pay for that specific day. You sign up for that day. We have a cap of, you know, 8 to 10 to whatever people. We'll ask pickleball, you know, what they think. They said typically they register on their, you know, app that they use to self-organize, they register 8 people per time slot because 4 people are playing and 4 people are kind of talking in on the practice court, and then they swap all 2 hours. But I'll ask her what, again, I'll kind of let pickleball lead that. I'm going to go to their meeting on
Yep.
the 10th, September 10th. But the idea would be whatever number of people sign up for that day, we
What's
need
that?
to hit $65, which is not a lot. It's like $2-3 a person a day.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's it's a way to make it organized but not a huge expense. If we just do it by day, then different people can sign up for different weekends. If we keep it close in, the registration opens up a week or 2 ahead, then people can really be planning. There are not going to be a lot of cancellations, especially if we only do it a week ahead. We can just say no cancellations,
Yeah.
You're registering within a week. You're just sign up or don't.
That's it.
And kind of make the logistics pretty easy. That's
Mhm.
really what I'm leaning towards. So I think it's a good way to go about it. The 65 is the cost of the cleaning crew per weekend.
Yep.
Bill, so Dennis had kind of tasked Bill to do this. So Bill hadn't figured out the utility cost, but in his words, he said it seems probably, pretty negligible. Joe had originally said he did want to include utilities in this fee. But that hasn't been worked out yet, and I've been kind of paying them for a while. So in my opinion, we kind of move forward with just the cleaning crew coverage, or if we want to tack on a little bit more, instead of making it, $2 a person, we make it $3 a person to just kind of leave a little wiggle room for if they decide they want us to cover those utilities. I don't know. But anyway, that's what I think. The one thing I am worried about, biggest thing I should say that I am worried about, is the credit card fees. Is that such a
Right.
small number that we're actually going to be doing ourselves a disservice? And I don't know the answer to this. But are the
Right.
credit card fees going to make this not actually a positive?
So can we do it at 5 per person or cash only?
So cash only would be who would collect the cash and deposit it, especially if it's, even if it's $2-3 a person, that's
Yep.
20 something dollars every weekend, around. Where does it go? Where does it get
Right.
stored? Because
Yeah.
that's the hard thing whenever we do cash.
Yeah, so the credit card piece, is there, do you get charged if you don't hit a minimum, and a minimum is probably like $7, right?
Yeah.
And then
something like
and then
that.
there's other charges on top of that, right? So we get a credit card fee for processing something that's $2, right?
Yeah.
Or $3.
Right.
And
Not doable.
and oh, by the way, those credit card fees show up as an additional cost. So
Mhm.
in some ways, we've kind of done ourselves a little bit of disservice by automating and making some things a little bit easier to pay and getting away from the cash. Because I know on the flip side, it's a hassle dealing with the cash and then going to the bank and doing all that fun stuff. However, it's
Well, but it's really not that bad because nothing else is that low, right? $15 is the lowest cost thing, and that's a beach pass for the day. We're still on the good side of a credit card fee.
sure, but how does it look for volleyball at $8?
Right.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's ultimately that's where it's, if we were to look at that, right, and say, the credit card fee of doing the processing, that extra buck probably just covers all the fees associated with using the processing agent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's
Yeah,
the
and
sweet
yoga.
spot?
Right. Exactly. So
Yeah.
so I guess then the question, the real question would be, okay, if we then said, let's just assume that there's $20 in utilities cost,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that number is really 85. And you said that they usually bring in 8 people for each 2-hour window?
I
Then-
think so.
Okay. Right, because that means 24 people coming in, so that's 3. You probably need to charge $4 a person
Right.
for that, with like an extra $20 in utility fees.
So there's a couple, right? Yeah. I mean, that's an option. There's a couple other ways I think it's possible. There's a like membership requirement type of thing. So they're already going to have to be members. Basically,
Yeah.
my idea was to hop on a call, probably early next week with Sub It Up, or sorry, MyRec, and just say, how do other people do this? How would you recommend doing this? But I'm trying to, get creative of, is there I'm picturing like a punch card, right? You buy 5 all at once, and then
Yep.
you sign up where to use them, and we don't sell them for less than 5, something like that. So
Right.
it's still that $15-ish mark, as each purchase. I don't know. And I don't know if the website has that functionality, but if it does, something along those lines, is it a product, right? Does the product give you this? I don't
Right.
know.
Well, what happens when, if someone were to buy, say we did a 4-pack, so it's a $20 increment.
Yeah.
Right? Nice round number. And that gives them, 4 punch cards per se, right? So they buy it, they pick one, they have 3 still on account, and the next week opens up, and they put their name in again for one of the days, and they do that for 4 weeks straight.
Yep.
Right. But I mean, do we not have that ability? So how does it work when kids at play want to change a day, but they don't know what day that they want yet? They've got a credit of a day.
Right.
Right? Is that you manually, jiggering it?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay. So that's not necessarily a great way either. Okay.
Right, and this is kind of why I wanted to talk it out. So I'm clicking around right now because Andrew was the rec director before me. So Andrew had something under the memberships. It's an inactive membership called the Healthy Hopper Fitness Pass. And I, way back had looked into it and just kind of was like, I don't really know. We don't really do enough fitness classes to make this relevant. But the idea was you spend $100 and you get 15 fitness classes, and so you get to pick which 15 that you do, blah blah blah. And that's kind of what sparked this idea. But I think it looks like, if I understand how he set it up, he was going to manually manage all of this. It doesn't look like there's an automated version of how to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess so my tasks, let me make sure to make it work, where the easiest would be they get to just sign up for a day, cost them, $3 or $4 or whatever we want to call it, and we figure it out. So my questions would be, is there a feature on the website to sort of put the credit card fee on the payer?
That's
Kind of
all.
like, so it kind of like, hey, if you use your card, you get taxed, or you pay something, then you get taxed. So, right. So you think you're paying $4, but it's really $4.38 or whatever. So when they're checking out, they say, oh, I got hit with a credit card fee. So is there something along those lines? If
There
not,
should be.
what
We've officially
is
become StubHub. Yes.
right? Exactly. Yeah. You know, and if that's not possible, then is there a break even line, right? Is it, you know, like you said, $4 or $7? So maybe it's you buy two, you know, you would do an $8 fee or $7 fee or whatever, you buy three. I don't know, but what are the logistics? Because when I did the math, so they asked me how many days we're talking about. We're talking about 44 to 50 something days if we include April or not.
Right.
And it's whatever 16 times 3 is, or, you know, sorry, whatever 8 times 3 is, you know, 24 people a day, 2 weekends, 2 days in the weekend, every day for 6 months. I can't do the logistics of manually getting people in and out and whatever. That'll be my full-time job, especially with
Yeah,
pickleball
yeah.
people. So
Yes.
we're gonna have to figure out something automated. And so my questions are, you know, I guess, am I missing anything? Can we put the credit card fee on them? If not, is there a break even number that's reasonable? If not, I don't know.
There's
So just-
there's got to be a way, because if you, some charities that you give to,
Mm.
like you're giving to somebody because they're doing some event, it'll say, do you want to donate an extra whatever
Cover
to
the
cover the
fee.
credit card fee. So
Yeah.
there should be a way of doing it with this too, I would guess.
And there
Okay.
is definitely a break even point because I buy things at the Kelly's farm
Mhm.
stand kind of
Yeah.
place. And if you buy less than a certain dollar amount, you
They
do
charge
pay
it.
extra to cover
Yeah.
that fee to use
Yeah.
a card. So they've clearly figured out what that sweet spot is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that seems to be a functionality, and it would be a matter of us determining that sweet spot.
hmm
Okay.
And then if I would say let the pickleball people in all their rabid ways figure it out. If somebody wants to buy 16 spots over the season, then that's on them. Let them do that rigmarole.
Yeah, I mean, don't get caught up too much, right? Don't sit there trying to make it big though to then bring it back down, right?
Right.
Basically, what all I mean by that is, call it, hey, you know, is it the 65? I think we put another 25 on top of that. Let's call it a $90 a day fee that we have to cover. If they're bringing in, you know, if they're bringing in 30 people, obviously that's $3 a person,
Right.
right? I mean, that's just, you know, daily math. That's, you know,
Right.
that's how I'm thinking about it right now.
Yep.
You know, if that's, you know, that may be a little high, so maybe it's, you know, it's only 24 people. Yeah, okay, that may get you to, you know, three something. So if you're talking $4, or if we cover that cost, it's, you know, it's $5 a day. It is what it is.
hmm
Yeah. Okay. So this is basically, there's a few more questions that need to be answered before we can set a price and obviously decide on this. But I'll try to, before the meeting on the 10th, I'll try to, you know, dig into it a little bit more and then just email the things to you all, and we can kind of have a plan. Even, I don't think it's something you
Yeah.
have to vote on, but just want to make sure you all are comfortable since it's new. But I
Yeah.
didn't realize it was 6 months. Wow. Oof.
I know, gosh.
Feels long.
How much it's crept based on adding an extra month. Yeah.
Yeah, but even just saying November to March, that sounds like winter to me. So I'm like, how is that 5 months?
Because it's New England, that's why.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And some of
Science
them will
Plus-
still be outside playing.
Oh,
Oh,
right,
yeah.
right. Right. This is just an additional. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shorts in the snow, darn it.
Yeah. Yep. So Science Plus, signs, so Pickleball has asked, you know, obviously within their budget line that we've gifted them, or, you know, or assigned them, they've asked for a couple of like best practices signs. You know, really, if somebody walks in, instead of somebody having to stop and talk to them and whatever, you can read a sign that says, this is how we rotate, this is how you mark that you want to be next, this is blah blah blah, kind of those things. So it's long. There's two of them. It's very long, very lengthy, very wordy. And I told Marilyn, I was like, again, this is in your budget, it's your choice. But I'll be the middleman. So I sent it over to Science Plus. Science Plus sent it back and basically said it's gonna be $95 for design because it's so wordy and just complicated and whatever. For each of the big signs, because they also want two just small signs, it's going to be at least $275. Depending on the thickness, it might be $310 if they want the thicker one because they want these nice metal signs. If they just do the plastic, it'll be more like $95, that kind of stuff. And then there's some small ones, one that just says competitive, one that says recreation, in terms of play. The hesitation I had on this, and I told Marilyn, I'll go forward in terms of getting all this, but I do have to talk to RecCom, is their idea is to have these, pretty big, they're thinking 4 foot by 3 foot,
Wow.
metal or
Wow.
plastic, but metal signs that say a whole lot of information on our tennis courts. Not our pickleball courts, because these are tennis courts that are
Mhm.
used by pickleball.
Well,
Right. And I did say, for example, they want some small ones, like I said, that one says competitive, one says recreation. And I said, you'll have to come up with some sort of logo because no one should think that on the tennis side, this is, tennis saying you play competitive tennis over here. So there should be some sort of logo or wording or symbol or something to indicate that we're referring to pickleball. I
right.
don't mind if it just says competitive versus recreation as much, but a massive sign of kind of house rules, I have some feelings. So I'm gonna run and grab my plug because my computer's about to die, but I wanted to throw that out there to see what you all thought. I don't want to say no, it is their budget, is their money, but also these are tennis courts.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder if they can post that on the building, like the little shed versus like on a fence. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because there's a current sign on I think on the building, the little shed there,
Mhm.
that's kind of outdated. That could be taken down. And if they would want to put the bigger sign on the shed versus a fence, that might work better,
Yeah. Better.
I think.
Yeah, and I tend to agree with you on that one, right? I mean, you know, they've got sole possession and usage of that shed.
Right.
How they choose to, maintain it or, put signs on and that type of stuff. That's their piece. I, you know, I am feeling a little, you know, I would say overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that they're trying to hang up
Right.
on the fencing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
Yep.
you
I
know,
would
not
agree.
not that I mind like the windsock and the wind breakers and
hmm
all the other stuff that's going on because I understand it and there's benefits of that for tennis as well. But where are they gonna get hey, guess what? Rushford's wants to donate, X amount to Upton Pickleball. So we want to make a sign for that and post it,
Right.
um,
Right.
when does the marketing of that start? Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It opens that door a little bit to, I think,
yeah, yeah.
an unwanted level of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. The other thing too is that there's the existing COVID rules sign that's kind
Mhm.
of outdated that could be taken down. Marilyn talked to me about that.
Yep.
We could take that down and have them put a, you know, more size appropriate sign in place of that. But
Yeah.
I think putting it on the shed would
Yeah.
be
Keep it to the
okay.
shed only. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I like that because I think what's worked really well with the budget is really saying we're giving you parameters and letting you go with these parameters so that you stop having to ask little nitpicky, this one is this okay, whatever. And that's worked great. You get your your boundary, but within, have fun.
Yeah.
You know, if we say, you know, if it's under your budget and you're posting it on your shed, however you want to maneuver and shape and plan and post, again, within reason about advertising or things like that, you know, it's yours, right? This is your
Right.
shed. Do with
Yeah.
it
Right.
what you will. But the fence is not yours type of idea.
Yeah.
I mean, they-
You know, and I have said, yes, they put up a little, handle, you know, you put your racket in to kind of mark your place, that kind of thing. I said yes to that because that didn't really feel like taking over. But posting, that's why I wanted to run it by you all.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
starts to feel like it's their club at that point,
Yeah.
and that's not appropriate.
How do you feel about the competitive and recreation signs?
As long as it's pickleball specific, sure.
And size appropriate, nothing huge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
and not huge.
Yeah,
no.
And
Yeah.
where, I mean, but, and where are they gonna think about putting those? I mean, is that,
yeah, so one of the things they are have sort of, again, self-organized is there's certain courts that they think of as competitive play, meaning if you have, you know who you're playing against, you've marked yourself as this level and you just want to get up and go, you know, to just go to like the end courts and just start your game and go. For the people that are newer, maybe they're new to the club, they want someone to show them around, they haven't played a lot, so they want to see if another player would maybe help them. It's sort of say like, oh, go hang out over here and we'll
Yeah.
notice you, and an experienced player will come over and say, hey, are you new to the sport? You know, welcome, blah, blah, blah. And it sort of helps
Yeah.
people know where to go, you know, naturally. And it
Yeah,
actually is
yeah.
really like an inviting newcomer thing that's worked really well. So
Mm.
it's actually been really nice. I've gotten some really great comments from people saying, this was so great. I just was able to kind of stand around looking lost and somebody helped me. And so I do like it in theory. And again, it lets the people wanting to just get go not have someone like wandering on the court that they might want to play on.
Right.
I did make sure that they know that they can never say no to anyone. So if there's some newbies who had gotten there first and they are playing on your court, you can't kick them off. Right? This is optional and helpful, but not a mandate. But and she said, you know, yes, of course, but it was more signage just helps people feel comfortable kind of idea.
Mhm.
In my mind, they're thinking, I think they said like a foot, you know, just a little sign, have a logo that makes it very clear we're talking about pickleball.
Hmm.
I feel comfortable about it. I want to see what you think.
So is it 6 individual ones?
No, it's
I
one
guess-
of each.
Okay, but there's 6 courts
I think
on
the idea is
on the tennis court, right?
right on the tennis. I think the idea is they'll put the competitive on the far, and that means the far two. They'll put recreation on the closest. That means the closest two. And I'm assuming the middle one is kind of it depends on who shows up. But I think it's sort of showing like a spectrum. Like if you're competitive, go to the end, go play, get going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's at least from my understanding. You seem uncomfortable, Rick.
I just, you know, what I see happening is, okay, they get one. Well, you know what? We should really get a second one of those, and there should be one on this half of the tennis court for this
Yeah.
competitive one, and another one on that other half. There's going to be a third, you know, in the middle, and you know, for the 2 middle ones, and then other ones, and then there's basketball court, and you know, I get that there's money and they can spend it, but it's like, you know, what if, you know, is there a different sign that basically then kind of shows the outline of of where the 6 pickleball courts are that
Mhm.
are in whatever, say orange,
Like a graphic.
that show this is your competitive level courts. Here's your blue ones for your recreational ones.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
your middle is kind of just free form based on, you know, who's there, right?
Yeah, the
and
players
there's
stay.
and there's
Yeah.
one that is at the shed that gives you an indication of what court is what.
Yeah, I
That's a
like
good
that.
thought.
Yeah,
And then it keeps it to the posted on the shed rule.
Right.
Exactly.
Good idea.
It keeps all the pickleball data together.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
That makes sense.
yeah, that's great.
I was thinking of movable things. I'm just thinking of what I hang on my door, but this sounds much better.
Oh yeah, and we'll get sandwich signs, and then we'll we'll ask Chris to put weights on them, and we're gonna
Yeah.
have to set them out at all the corners.
Yeah.
Well, the
And-
plane flying overhead with a banner. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
No, I was
Yeah.
thinking more a little hook, and then you hang it like the thing
Yeah.
that I hang on my door that says, "Is in a meeting, please knock."
We'll have to get a windscreen around it so it doesn't blow away.
It doesn't
Yep.
I
blow
like it.
away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ignore Laura's idea.
Exactly.
The
Um,
fact that I'm pacifying the pickleball people to any extent is a miracle. So.
there again,
Yeah.
recorded line. And Marilyn knows this. Hi, Marilyn. I love the pickleball people. Everything is good and fine. It's just it takes up a lot of time, and we have to figure out how to manage that.
That's good. It's recreation. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, it is our most passionate program.
It is.
It absolutely
Yeah.
is. They
Cult.
also
Yeah,
want a
yeah,
porta
yeah.
potty moving forward. So I like that. We'll kind of set some again parameters. The shed is yours. We still need a final say on what you post in terms of wording because it does represent our department. But anything you want to put on the shed, however you want to, figure it all out to make it visual. The shed is
Yep.
yours. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, tell them they
Um,
can take some of the stuff down too. 'Cause
Yeah,
there's some
absolutely.
outdated
Outdated.
signs.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So they also asked for a porta potty. Basically, they were worried they have a tournament they're planning coming up in I think 2 weeks, and they were worried that the soccer porta potty, which they use, was not going to be set up yet. Couple things. One, Rick, is soccer actually comfortable with the amount that pickleball uses their porta potties?
I'm not 100% sure whether or not they know how much they really use it,
Okay.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, and let's face it, I think Kiwanis this season is going to get a lot more use than it used to.
Okay.
There's lights,
There's lights,
I
right?
know. Yeah. Yeah.
right? It's going to get dark early. There's going to be a lot more teams throughout the week that are probably going to be there.
Well, but we can't go later in the fall. That was really just for the spring, right? Or am I switching my seasons?
You're switching your season. Well, no,
It's
both
fall
of them.
that
Well, you don't really need the lights in the spring because there's enough daylight
okay,
usually
so I
to
am
cover.
switching my seasons. Fall is
Yeah,
when it
so-
gets darker. Okay.
Yeah, so I think that they put in for staying on the fields to like 8. Now, I think most of the time they'll be done around 7:30ish. So, but it's still going to be where there'll be teams there that towards the middle part of October, they're not practicing anymore because it's dark at 6. Well, that's
Right.
not going to be the case anymore. They're still
Right.
going to be going longer. So,
Well, so that was kind of my question is I think, last year, maybe even the year before, we would close down. I would get a whole slew of, hey, if you run a program, you have to have bathrooms open. And then I say, the bathrooms are closed at Kiwanis. We can choose to not run pickleball if you want, and then we're good. And then soccer started putting a porta potty up there, and pickleball said, "Oh, great, there's porta potty," and started using it.
sure, yeah.
I like you said, I don't know how much soccer knows they use it, but pickleball thinks of it as, hey, now we have a bathroom.
Yeah.
So a couple things. One, they want one, I believe Soccer's is already there. I think they delivered it already. So I think they're good. I think their idea now is as soon as Soccer removes theirs for the season in November, pickleball gets one delivered that starts going on their tab for payment because they want to play all winter when they can. Again, within their budget is the idea.
Yeah,
I don't know how much I'm against it. If it fits within their budget, it's ADA accessible. They're even using the same vendor as soccer. So they sort of said like, even maybe just leave that one, or the day you pick up, the next day deliver ours type of, whatever. They know it, we have to do all the tax exempt if it's by the town, or the insurance, like we have to do all the things, and that's going to have to be dealt with. And again, it has to fit their budget. I don't know if I disagree that running a program, if they're going to put it in their budget to figure out having a bathroom because we don't offer one otherwise, is a bad idea.
yeah, no, I know. So it's, those ADA ones, so I just pulled up the information. They use a company called ADC.
Yeah.
That unit usually runs like $200 a month, I think.
Okay.
All right. Now, granted, soccer gets like 4 of them or 5 of them, right? Because they've got the 2 locations here in town. They've got 2 locations in Mendon as well.
Yeah.
And they may be, I forget where they're doing the in-town stuff. They may be doing that at one of the other schools or something, and sometimes they'll get one for there as well. So they're usually getting 4 or 5 of them
They might get a
for
discount.
seasonal play. Yeah.
So they might be getting a discount.
Yeah.
So they probably get a little bit of a discount there. So,
Right.
I mean, if it stays through them now, I mean, we certainly could have a conversation with Jeb and Chris and those guys and just say, hey, could we leave it there year round, and then figure out, how that would, how we cover that for Kiwanis specifically. Right. But that is still $200 a month. And if they're looking to keep that
Right.
there, right. I mean, feasibly, here it is, the end of August. So basically it's September, October, part of November. So basically they'll have it for 3 months in the spring, 3 months in the fall.
Yeah.
Right. And then, the pickleball budget would have to cover the other 6. Right.
So it's really only 4, I think,
Well,
because
but- go ahead.
it's November. Let's just say, November 1st to make it easy. So November, December, January, February.
Yeah.
March 1st, don't we open the fields?
Nope. Usually
Is it
it's
March
beginning of
31st?
April.
Oh,
It's
April 1st. Okay, so 5
Beginning
months.
of April. Yeah.
So 5 months.
Yeah.
That pickleball would have to cover it. And then spring opens, but then the beach opens. So then the bathrooms are back on.
Right.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
Right.
so you wouldn't have that 7-8 weeks of downtime when it does actually get picked up and removed for, the middle of the summer when soccer's out of, and the field's closed and soccer's out of session.
Yeah.
Right. They do. I'm not 99% sure they have them picked up and returned, and then they get a new unit dropped off for the next season. So
They do, yeah,
Yeah.
because they schedule with me and DPW to make sure like the gates are open and all that.
yeah. So, yep. And if not,
Yeah.
then they call me and they go, Rick, come open the gate.
Right. So it's right. So it's $1,000, right? If it's 5 months, $200, it's $1,000.
Yep.
And we give them $1,500 for the season. Or for the year. So
Yep.
if they want it, again, in my mind, if they want to spend $1,000 of their 1,500, and then you have 500, do you want a new net? Figure it out. If you,
Exactly.
Yeah.
ball, because we did kind of say like a new net, new balls. Was that in the 1,500, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
So they're
That
gonna
it
have
is.
to kind of, figure out the specifics, but
So, so why don't you mark down, right? It's, for the soccer program, they use ADC.
yeah, I've already called ADC and talked to them about it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think
Oh, okay.
the question I was going to ask you, and I think you already answered it, because ADC quoted for a regular, like the lowest level standard, I think we would need to get an ADA accessible one, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so that would up it. I think we got quoted 150, so you're telling me it's more 200.
I believe it is because, you know, when you get that larger ADA one, which it it kind of stinks because your basic one actually has larger capacity than an ADA compliant one.
Go
It,
figure.
it does. So it's,
Yeah.
you know, because it's half of, you know, kind of the standing room or
Right.
that sitting area,
Right.
where an ADA compliant one is only like a quarter of that area because you have to have flat space
Room.
for a chair.
Right.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Very much.
So and let's put it this way: a couple of years back, we only used to bring in regular, and we got our hands slapped for the fact that we were allowing a regular one to come in because of where it was originally being placed, and
Mhm.
the fact that it had a step and people couldn't access it.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, which again, fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Piccolo is one of the more time sensitive things I want to talk about. So I know we spent a lot of time on that, but those were some questions I needed answered. Archery, you know, open. This is kind of a cool, just cruising activity. We usually get, you know, maybe 2 registrations, but they're happy with us. You know, we're fine, good in their good books. Everything's good. We talked about that art program. She's been away for the last month, so there's really no updates. I'm gonna circle back with her. I think she was in India or something like that. I think she said she was going away with her family. So anyway, no updates, but basically I just need to get a specific
Yep.
sort of cost list from her. You know, these
Right.
are the items, what would it cost? Send me the links. Like, let's get a little bit more details here.
Yep.
But that could be cool. I did have a really long talk with Matt. So he is with 140 Arts, which is a new like
Yeah.
organization coming up in Upton. And they seem to be doing a lot of cool stuff. I guess he
They are.
has actually been. Oh, you're part of it.
I've been to a couple of the things, and of course, Lori is
Yeah,
very
Lori, yeah.
involved in it. So yeah.
Yeah, so Lori put me in touch with Matt, and I guess he's done a ton with different theater stuff. If he's the person I'm thinking of, I think I actually met him and he ran like Improv Boston or something. If it's the same
Really?
person, and then moved out here, and he did like the local Mean Girls show that you might have seen advertisements for and stuff. So he's kind of really digging his heels in. You know, sorry, that's the wrong thing. He's really getting settled here. But anyway, seems quite impressive, has a lot of connections. We had a really cool talk about different ways to do different things. I told him the idea I had about sort of a performing arts showcase sort of thing where you get a bunch of people. Maybe one kid wants to learn improv, one person wants to dance, one person wants to sing, one person wants to juggle, whatever. And you really just have a mentor to help them facilitate their own. And then at the end, you do kind of a showcase or a talent show type of idea.
Yeah.
We talked through, he really helped me realize that to do something like that at the high school level, which is what I was kind of picturing, maybe middle school, but it seems like they wouldn't be able to be as independent. You would need to spend a whole lot of money, right? You'd need to bring in a person who can help that improv person like for a day, right? And maybe make it more of this week we bring the improv person that they all learned from. This week we bring a tap dance person. It would just be way too involved to kind of do it at the level. He's like, no one really knows enough about all of them where you should say, pay us money for this. I'm not,
Yeah,
no one's
yeah.
an expert in that many different things. Which was great. That's why we go to him for the advice. He said what he could offer though is kind of a more specialized version of the theater program that we run. So we have the theater program, but he could do maybe like a drama intensive type of program that he has, you know, another person that he works with, and it could be much more specialized where they're maybe it's keeping it in that realm. So this week we're working on monologues. This week we're working on, stage position, whatever. I'm making this up. Hopefully, if he ever listens to this, I'm not super far off, but that's what I'm kind of imagining is, really keeping it in his realm where he is an expert, and he can kind of separate it that way. And then if we did want to do a show or a showcase or a talent show or something, it could just be all within that realm that he can kind of call his at the end. So I still think something like that. He seemed really excited. I think it could be a really good match. I did make it very clear that I'm a one-person department, so I would have a huge lean on him to help organize this. And we're a break-even department, so whatever he's thinking he's worth, we have to make sure that we would have the interest to pay that back. I'm not saying he's not worth it, but
Right.
we kind of can't dish out the money if we don't get it back, and there can be no guarantees. Anyway, so we're going to touch base again, but it definitely seems like a possibility. It might be a little bit beyond us, because he's been working with, I think, Hopkinton Arts and some of these bigger programs that it just might be too big for us, basically, but we'll see. So we're going to kind of keep narrowing that down, trying to shoot for maybe like a winter break or spring break type of program. At worst, I'm calling it, maybe a couple Saturday mornings in a row type of thing. But I think people are so busy during the school year, and a lot of people are looking for school break programs. So I think that would work there.
I love that you connected with them, because that was running through my mind as they started doing more stuff. That's great.
Oh yeah, no, Lori's about the stuff that she's doing, and it all sounds amazing, trying to see where we could fit in. But mostly she's got it. Mostly she doesn't need us.
She does not.
Yeah. Concerts. So I've been thinking a lot about how the concerts have been going, especially, again, hopefully there's not another year where we're getting all the daycare sicknesses and I'm out. I think I missed 3 from being sick, and then we switched to pizza and all that. But last year, the idea was maybe food trucks. Over the winter, I did a lot of tracking that down, just way out of budget for us.
Yeah.
This year, I'm wondering, similar, we bring in to run the beer garden for us. Is there a group that we could maybe bring in to run the grill, where it's advertising for them, it's a fundraiser for them, it's something along those lines? I don't know financially if it would make sense for anyone, but does the Scouts want to run the grill and they, set up a booth? Does the men's club want to do it and they're advertising their cornhole and their 4th of July and I don't know. Is there an outside group that we can sort of tap where it's not, me or pizza, or I have to decide if I'm going to go feel sick in the office so that I'm overseeing Chris while he's actually just grilling because it's silly because I'm the only one with the certification.
Right.
Or trying to get more people certified. It's hundreds of dollars in the courses, hours and hours and hours and hours. It's all these kind of things where you're going, there's got to be a different logistical way, and maybe somebody else who wants to be part of this. So it's really a win-win, and it just takes the pressure off, because I know, people were not liking the pizza. They did it. They were good spirits. We made a good amount of money actually, and everybody made the best of it. But
They prefer
But there's a lot of people that actually go there looking forward to getting a burger.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's the experience. It's So and the other side of it is, we do run at a loss. Talking about money, we don't talk about the parks budget that often, but the concerts for the food, we run at a loss, and we could increase it, but we know we're kind of wanting it to be the experience. A $5 burger sounds nice. A $10 burger sounds less nice. Especially when, the kids come up and they get another hot dog and another hot dog. It's
right.
A $20 night or a $50 night is a big difference.
What about like the
go.
high school DECA club too?
Yeah.
They might be a good one to include, or to approach at least.
Do they run over the summer?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I have no idea.
Yeah, but no, that's good to ping them and see.
Or some BVT people of whatever. I don't know. Who that would be, but-
We always throw like a National Honor Society, people on the list, even though that never really comes to fruition, but you know, what if it's, you know,
You
hey,
throw it out there.
you get, you know, it's Wednesday nights and you get, you know, maybe you get a burger at the end, you get to listen to music and,
Right.
Yeah,
you know,
Yeah.
help out accordingly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, so Laura, I think it was the night, or yeah, it was the night you were there. We got by what was the name of that farm or that ranch?
Yes, Town Hill Dairy.
Town Hill Dairy. So Town Hill Dairy owners
Or
kind of
Tone
came
Line,
up
whatever.
and they said, you know, would you be interested in potentially buying your beef from us? You know, so it's local. We have local beer, local beef, local burgers, local bands, you know, kind of a whole thing. And then they said maybe even, you know, 50-50. Hey, you could spend $5 on a burger or you could spend $8 on a burger and it's local, you know, so it still cuts the cost, whatever. You know, but again, advertising, would they want to run the grill with their beef and their, you know, again, kind of handing this off to someone where it's good for them, it's good for us.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. Do we have a good burger shop in the area? So Rushford brings theirs out and the burger place flips a couple patties and advertises themselves, you know, a restaurant. I don't know if we're allowed to do that, but is it different than a food truck? I don't know.
For what it's worth, I heard, Maria, that your burgers are to die for. I had several people saying that they were so looking forward to your burgers.
Good.
Literally, they cited you.
It's
wow.
Yeah, I will say it's a specific burger I get from BJ's. They're so good. They're so good. That I will give full credit to the meat and not my grilling because I do not feel comfortable on the grill. But anyway, I think about it kind of each year where I go when it's all set up and you're there, it's such a feeling. It's so fun. And, you know, talking to
is.
people in line, even when we get underwater, I try to kind of joke with everybody and it is such a community moment. I don't want to lose it,
Right.
but it all being on one person, again, me or not me, it all being on one person is just poor planning. And I think we need to start figuring out what to do about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So stepping back, what is all involved in that certification process?
So it's a Serve Safe certification, because so somebody on site has to be a manager, and the manager one is much more intensive than the server one.
Okay.
And the manager one, the server doesn't need one if the manager is present, but you
Yeah.
can't, you know, it kind of means a manager could go home if somebody had the server one as long as the manager oversaw the full operation, but you can't have no manager.
Right.
So I get the manager one. I think it took me like 10 hours or something crazy just to do the class. And then you have to schedule a test that's what's it called? Like you're being watched. So you have to like clear off your surface and show your ID and look around the room and anyway, and the test took like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And it's like a couple $100 the whole course that you have to buy.
Got it.
So it's not nothing, especially
It's
as
not
like
nothing,
a sub.
Right.
You know, to have a couple of us do it in order to sub for like a day I might be sick, it's a little too expensive for that. The server one's a lot less, but it's still money and a couple hours, maybe not oversaw. But it's again, my first goal is there something where somebody else wins and then we win, right? That I think secondly, maybe we figure out somebody else getting a server level certification and then I'm still the manager.
Yeah.
Because then I don't necessarily have to be on site as long as
Right.
I've prepared the grill, met with the health inspector, you know, organized the buying. Like as long as I've done all the things,
Yeah.
maybe someone else could do the physical. But I think we have, you know, a couple of months before everything starts gearing up again to say, can we look around for some alternatives where it feels even better, right? This is good. Can it be even better? And
Yeah.
takes the pressure off us.
Yeah, no,
But
that's
yeah,
fair.
the course is annoying, and it only lasts a couple of years.
I
and
was
then
going
you
to
have to do
say
it
how
again.
frequent.
I think it's 2 or 3 years.
If we land back on it, I'm more than willing to go through it.
Okay.
honestly, but I agree with
Yeah.
you if there's another option, but I'm more than happy to do it. I've fallen in love with going to those Wednesdays, so.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, how do you feel grilling? Because that's and because that's really what we're getting at is it's the backup for me on a night where, I can't for whatever reason.
Well,
Yeah,
if
it's,
I held it and Chris did the grilling, would
Yeah.
that
oh,
suffice?
great. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
'Cause you
Yeah,
don't
Chris, you're
No,
not
want me
allowed
on
to
a
go on
grill.
I don't
trips
mind it.
anymore.
It was pretty stressful, but I don't mind it. And then I had to take like a grease wash shower when I got home. It was
Oh, we have a whole system. I get in the house and it's like, don't touch anything, don't touch anything, don't touch
yeah,
anything. You can run in the
exactly.
shower.
What do you mean you sat in the car? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
You're walking home next time, brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
want me on a grill, but I'm happy to watch and just be there.
yeah, so I guess
So,
like reach out to these
yeah.
groups and see if
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
interest. Yeah, that's a good idea. I like it.
Okay. Because then everyone wants the grilling. Let's lean into that instead of try to lean
Yeah.
away from it. Yeah.
Right.
Marketing again, Laura, you and I should figure out a time to meet and kind of come up with maybe a, winter to 2026 plan of what it
Yep.
looks like. Maybe kind of map out the whole year and say, all right, in April we want to start posting about this. In May we want to start posting, something like that.
Yeah,
So
sounds
just let me
great.
know what timing looks, we can kind of text on the side, but let me know
Sure.
what timing looks good for you.
Yeah, sounds great.
Goals. I still don't know because we kind of were doing that rushed submitting our stuff. I don't know if we ever actually solidified my goals for the year. Or if we did, I don't think I have the final copy.
Okay.
I mean, the only goal I remember was the January do something with regard to learning something about like Finance 101
Yeah.
to figure out
Right.
some solution to the Vadar,
Yeah.
that
'Cause
tracking thing. But
Yeah, because we talked about that. We did submit some official goals to the town. I'm sure we can update them or just kind of internally say we updated them. I don't know if we have to submit them again, but I do know, especially again, this was Joe's plan. I don't know what moving forward. His goal now that he's the town manager is also my boss is that I would have a specific goal review meeting with the town manager in addition to reviewing it with you all
Mhm.
about how it went, and technically talking about the goals and kind of meeting goals and things along that line affects my pay bump to the next step. We've kind of always been in touch enough that even if I didn't meet a goal, Rec has sort of said we still support the bump because we understand the reasons, we've tracked it,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah, out
But
of your control. Yeah.
because I now have kind of two bosses, I just want to make sure it's a little bit more official. I know what they are. We're tracking them. Maybe we're updating them if need be. Then the
Right.
town manager's being looped in about any updates so that they're in the loop.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
has
Again, not that I
anything,
want to, not that I
have
want to have to
we,
make more to pay me, but
yeah,
No, it makes
I
sense
mean,
though.
was anything circulated? Because I don't think I've seen anything yet for
I-
26 goals.
So I thought I sent them across, but
yeah, it might have just been. It was a little bit of a rush, so it might have just been between me and Rick.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
but I thought we talked about it and
We
and
feel
we
like we
did
did.
last meeting, yeah.
and for some reason I'm actually was it last meeting or was it the meeting before?
It was
Well,
last.
we might have touched upon it in both, to be honest with you. And I
Yeah.
thought I had sent something back
Oh,
over. So
Yeah, if you could resend that, that'd be good.
yeah,
So
Yep.
again, it's August, it's not the end of the world, but
Mhm.
just wanting typically what I did the last 2 years, and again, not that I completed all my goals, but typically what I did the last 2 years is I had the goals actually listed right here. So the end of each meeting was a little bit of a status update on where we're at with the goals. Do
Right.
any of
Right.
them need to be tweaked because they're out of our hands? Where
Yeah.
what am I doing on the process, that kind of thing. So maybe just by next meeting we can make sure
Yeah.
that those are
Because I think,
and I like the one about maybe taking a financial course or class or
yeah,
something.
Yeah.
So maybe that can be added or substituted
Hmm.
Yeah, I like that
Yeah,
one
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
I think that idea came up after we submitted them.
Yeah, and I think the other action was to review the goals quarterly
Mhm.
to see if things are on track, if we can do anything to help, if something is not like tracking right
Yeah,
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
today's meeting was the first quarterly thing, but we can push it off till next meeting is fine, and just revisit.
Well,
Yep.
let's see. So quarterly would be because July's the beginning.
Or every 3 months, not necessarily on the quarter, but
Okay.
regularly. Let's put it that
Regular.
way.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and again, so yeah, because even if we do it every meeting, just it can be a short, maybe
Yeah.
there's, 3 or 4 a year that's longer.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's
I like
fine.
to just
Yeah.
kind of stroll to the bottom and say, okay, real quick, I did
Yeah,
this, I haven't done that. This isn't
Yeah.
gonna happen because of this.
right.
This is
It's out
gonna
of your
happen because of
control,
that.
whatever.
Yeah.
If they're on this report, that'll be fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That would take the place. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yep. Good.
And then I think the last item that I had kind of teed up last time, and again, it doesn't, now's the least important time to do it, but it's just, while things are slow. I had talked about potentially raising the amount of the approval, and I think we had a cool solution, which was to do it by topic, right?
Mhm.
To say,
Yep.
like, there's certain things where I get to just approve them, the yoga class paying the instructor or whatever, right?
Mhm.
Like those kind of things, we just say if it's over whatever, this is exempt because
Right.
we're gonna pay them, right? We're gonna pay the instructor, we're gonna pay the
Right.
person, whatever.
Right.
A good example is the theater, right? The
Mhm.
Jen and Bob. We're not gonna not pay them if I haven't got a chance to send it to Chris, type of thing, right? We're
Right.
gonna pay.
Right.
So maybe, and again, maybe this is a next meeting, but maybe we all start trying to kind of come up with those columns of these do need the approval, and maybe it's 3 columns, right? Maybe these approval are 300, these are approval are, I don't know, 500, and these are any amount Maria can approve because it's no one's gonna say no, right? No one's gonna not pay Jen type of
Right.
line. I don't know. Or maybe we call it 1,000 because anything over 1,000, yes, Jen would be included, but like you all want to make sure you're aware of it. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I like the categorization thing because
Yeah.
there
Yeah,
are things
that's a
that
good way
are
to
going to
do
be
it.
paid, right?
right, we're not gonna
It's
not.
like I'm not going to question it and not sign off on Jen and Bob. So
Right.
Yeah.
That feels
So-
better than just a cap overall.
yeah.
So maybe my next meeting we kind of start coming up with what those
Mhm.
categories might be.
Sure.
Good.
Okay,
Can you send me this, Maria? This report?
Yep.
Just so I can track it in like minutes and stuff.
Do it right now.
Cool.
All right, that's all I have.
all right. Yeah, and for whatever reason, I'm not finding the other thing, so
So that
I'll
I
find it.
haven't. So the other stuff I have is the any kind of warrant for the all-town meeting, next all-town meeting. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. This was one of the things. Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of those other things, and if we want to, and quite honestly, I wanted to shoot something back on this. Come on. There we go. I'm just trying to make it a little larger for us. There's just a couple of concepts, so keep in mind the program or the project here was we've got that retaining wall that really needs to be fixed. ADA compliance pieces, dugouts, so on and so forth. So what they're really looking at is saying, we have to redo a whole retaining wall. But while we do that, we can get a regular ramp for people to come up from the parking lot. This is the existing ramp that's there today,
Okay.
right? But adding in a ramp for ADA compliance. And this is it goes over a grassy area that's here today. It's kind of going over some big stones and all that type of stuff. So how exactly that works, fine, I think that'll come out in the details, but basically saying, hey, we'll get a bleacher area up here. It's on, it's kind of on this side. You probably see, the whole field, and then obviously the dugouts get redone, and you kind of get another open area where, you can, if you bring your own chair, you can come and sit and all that type of stuff, right? So that looked like a pretty simple plan. They had another one where, you still have the retaining wall, but you got a little ramp to maybe a little bit of a higher elevation area to kind of oversee the field a little bit, is how I've read that. A
Yep.
couple rows of bleachers on this side, still the 3 bleacher pieces over here. Same basic overall structures, right? This one, looked, very basic. Nothing on the other side, on the right field side. Everything on the left, but still compliant, right? So this is probably our, hey, if we're going, bare minimum, that's probably it. And then I think the last one was, hey, what if we repointed the field and did something on the other side? We wouldn't have to bother with a retaining wall. But we're gonna have to redo that whole area. And oh, by the way, and not that I can, the line of trees, all of that area would then have to be cleared out.
Yeah, it
and
looks like it.
And cleared and all that type of stuff. I have
Yeah,
a feeling that's got a whole bunch of expense to it. So,
Yeah,
Mhm.
yes.
The one thing that this doesn't have, there's no cost associated with any of these plans.
Yeah,
And I almost
Yeah.
sent the thing back to them and went, how in the world do you want us to give you an opinion of what we like? Right? Because quite honestly, I love view number 2, but that's because I've got good taste, and that one's going to cost the most.
Right.
Right. Because I think that's a really good structure of having, kind of a multi-level type of
Exactly.
scenario, right?
Exactly.
And
Nice
I think,
viewing.
I think that would bode really well, but I'm also a realist and know that's going to cost more money.
Mhm.
But who's
Right.
paying for it? We're not, Rec is not paying for this, right?
Well, and that's part
We don't know.
part of what Mike was saying, that it would, they'd try to go after an ADA type of grant.
Right.
Some of those you can get up to $100,000, and
Right.
this type of a project probably gets pretty darn close to it. So
Yeah. Okay.
um,
I mean,
so-
maybe he may just be looking for not cost wise, but what our
Well-
thoughts are with the plans. Like you said,
well,
I mean,
and
the 2 bleacher system is great, and we
Yeah.
could give him that input. But
I
if we
mean,
had to go to a basic, then
I mean, I guess my basic thing here would be is I'm really not overly excited about repointing the field.
yeah,
To me, that's a no-go. No, that's,
I get the idea that was around it, and it's already ADA compliant because we've got the ramp from the other side.
Mhm.
That puts you at a level playing field here. But at the same time, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I've lived in the town my whole life, and it just feels weird to me. So
I don't like the tree removal at all. And you don't know what you're gonna run into in terms of, I don't know, drainage and all of that. Tree removal, I'm not a fan of.
yeah, so
Yeah.
so that's fine, and kind of go, and I'm more than willing to go back and go, hey, none of us were really in favor of option 4, which was repointing the field. And then I think we like we like the design concept of what 1 through 3 brings.
Mhm.
It's really now just a matter of, there's an obvious matter of cost in between the 3,
Mhm.
and what what do they believe the different values of that cost to be,
Right.
compared to what we might be able to get in a grant or budget.
Right. Right.
So anyway, all right.
Yeah.
So
I assume, I don't know if I'm correct, but I assume part of this equation is that they're trying to get something for this project on the warrant, right? Whether it's more details of design, so they need some funding for maybe like design and checking out the, I don't know, getting someone in to price out the retaining wall. Like, I'm guessing
Yep.
some part of that, that's a rush is
yeah, there may be
there.
a phase two to get into,
Yeah.
the next level of design. You're right. Right. I mean, I know that they had the 35K already approved, and I can't imagine doing these little schematics is $35,000 worth. Right.
Hopefully not.
Right.
Yeah.
So my assumption would be is that they should be able to put some cost metrics, and maybe some other things, but you're right, maybe they have to go through and really look at, the drainage pieces, all those other environmental things that usually come along with doing the full assessment of how much is really going to need to be done
Right.
to mark it out. So
They're definitely gonna have to do that. I mean, Five
Yeah,
Forks
I-
Farm went through that
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
in a
Of
major
course.
way,
Yeah.
so,
yeah, of
Yep.
course. So
One of-
but
Well, I was just gonna say on the specific design, one of my questions, so I was there on a couple of Sunday mornings, this summer, just, doing beach stuff, and more people attend on Sunday mornings for the games than I remembered. I don't know if it's different this year than it's been in the past, or I just wasn't really paying attention, but there were a good number of fans. And I fully understand that the goal of this is to make it ADA accessible. My question is, with how they're doing the retaining wall, is there a place for people without accessibility limitations to set up a little folding chair, right? Like, we need to make it accessible, but where we're leveling off, is there just enough seating that people can walk up, put down a blanket, put up a folding chair, sit and watch the game? Or, is that turning into like a slope where it's not really a sitting area anymore in the name of, and I'm not saying to not do accessibility, but like in looking at this, the 2-level tier, but people love just sitting up on the grass on that higher area and looking down.
Sure.
And we're planning for the visual to make sure it hits all the requirements, but also I want to look at, like, how is it really used? Are we taking something away that a different plan, like maybe the more simple one, just checks the boxes but still leaves the actual practical use the maximum? I don't know. Versus,
Yeah.
the nice 2-tier one, are people not really going to use the 2 tiers and now they've lost a bunch of grass that they want to sit on? I don't know.
Well, yeah, and quite honestly, I'll say I don't actually think that impedes that grass area.
Okay.
I actually think that this is halfway up. I think that this is cutting into that original bleacher area where the bleachers were removed.
Okay, so
Right.
that's just leading up. That's, but maybe just not that tall because we probably don't have the
That's-
slope for it.
I think that that's exactly it. I think that gets
Okay.
you a portion of the way up and then flattens it out at a different level, but you still have that other open grass area, which is this area here, to put down your blanket, set up a canopy, and enjoy the day.
And then here's my other question is, and not that we have to build this into the plan, and again, I understand this isn't under our department exactly, but accessing that top one that I'm referring to, the grass, we have those terrible stairs, but people use those terrible stairs to get up
Yep.
there. That is how
Yep.
they get up there.
Yep.
I'm assuming we pull the terrible stairs down, add a retaining wall, people are walking around
Yeah,
to get up there.
Yeah, it's a great question, and I can't tell by this because it does look like we've now removed those terrible stairs areas, and if that now has a back retaining wall. I don't know if there's a different, footpath that goes up. And that may be one of the things that we say, hey, there's a footpath right here, which is even worse than the one that was over here, right?
Mhm.
But isn't a solid wall, right? This is something that leads you into the rest of that flat area that is there for stands, but could fix the steps over here to access that other higher ground for people that can.
So I think I don't know ADA law very well, but my guess is it's actually going to be the opposite of if we have some sort of steps, then the area the steps lead up to will need to be ADA accessible.
Yeah.
If we don't
Hmm.
have steps, but we just maybe have like a gradual grassy slope, it's not an actual
Yeah,
entryway that we're building, but it's a practical entryway, right? People can take a couple steps up a grassy slope. We're not making stairs, so we're not saying go ahead, go this way. We're just not blocking them with a retaining
Yeah.
wall, saying you literally can't get up there. That's,
Yeah,
I guess, what
yeah.
I'm getting at is a practical use for the majority of people and an ADA accessible use for the people who have that need. But I
Yeah.
don't want to block
Yep.
the area that most people use with a retaining wall.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah, and them, obviously highlighting that, and at least in this one, it was a 4-foot retaining wall. Well, most people aren't jumping the 4 feet.
Right. And again, leave a little grassy slope at the edge of it that people can just take a couple, high step up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because like I'm back in the first one, it looks like there's a little opening right here because I think this is where those natural stairs are.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's not, like you said, it's not blocked, it's not redone, it's just a path that should someone wish to
Choose to use it.
choose to
Off-
use.
If they're going off-roading, there's no wall stopping them.
That,
Right.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So
And that's,
anyway.
I think that's just the part that's important, and that's really hard for me to visualize here is,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right. All right, we spent enough time on that, just looking at the time, right?
yeah.
Yeah, and field things, I don't think there's anything field wise we have to talk about. That's all set for the fall. So,
Yep.
more than likely field things, Chris, we can probably just remove that from
Mhm.
all the future ones until February-ish.
Can we do January? Because typically the first time we kind of say, oh, right, we got to reach out to some people to submit. And then the second time we say, hey, these two people are still missing or this
Yeah.
conflict doesn't work. And then all of a sudden it's March.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a little
Okay.
tickler in January.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right, Chris, you were going to get into something else.
Yeah, the other two things that were on the agenda were anything for warrants for the all-town meeting.
Yeah.
When does it close? I know they emailed us. I just don't have it off the top of my head.
May have,
In a few weeks, I think.
yeah, or in
Okay.
a couple of weeks. I think
Okay.
it's pretty soon.
Okay. So we're probably not
remember.
going to be able to get the Kiwanis building
Right.
on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And honestly, I'm not so sure this beach one, unless there's something, unless there's a next step interim piece, I'm not so sure that the field project is on it either.
Right.
There may be some other small design, moving on to like a design assessment work or something along
Right.
those lines, but I don't see that as being, if that's the case, then, I think we've got enough confidence in this and saying, yeah, let's, design wise, these look good. I'd like to, figure out which one we pick, but, certainly if we need to get something written up for warrant to draft for design, you know, and architectural work, yes, you know, we should get whatever that assessment's going to be and get it over. So,
Mhm.
so that's, so would you like me to send that back to, right? I know I forwarded that on Maria. It only, I think it came to you and I. Do
Yeah,
you
I
want
think
me
so
to
too.
reply on that one and just say, hey, you know, we're in favor of something to do with 1 through 3. Certainly, we've got some, you know, some questions in terms of, you know, just, you know, other routings of people and foot traffic and some other things that we're not going to be able to get on this. Maybe a quick call with them would be great, but you know, we like the planned concepts as drawn. We don't like the repointing of the field, and
Yeah.
Mhm.
what do we need to do for next steps?
Yeah.
Agreed. And I'm assuming Mike is going to be taking lead on this. And again,
yeah.
he might be the one putting something on the warrant associated
Yeah.
with this. So Chris and I were going to meet with him anyway, you know, when we get that date down, if that's next week,
Mhm.
or something, or the week after, we might be able to get a chat with him in time to be helpful.
Yeah.
Just in person if he has any questions.
Yeah. Yep,
But yeah, if you wouldn't mind shooting that email, that would be great.
I'll do that.
Great.
The only other thing was capital projects. I think you had brought this up, Maria. That document that was sent around.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about, in my opinion, we've talked about
yeah,
most of the short-term ones.
right.
You know, I agree we're kind of on pause on the building and on Trask. Although I do think we need to maybe once a quarter just say, what are we thinking with this? In terms of, I get similar to what I was saying about the other stuff. What's first step? Like, even if we're saying this is a 10-year goal now versus a 2-year goal, what's step 1?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
knowing that and being able to say, okay, if it's a 10-year goal, can we make it a 10-year goal, not a 10-year goal that we think about 8 years from now and then
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
push back?
Right. Okay.
Yep.
And
I
when
agree
do we
with
Me in
that.
want
this
to?
house right now.
Yeah.
I'm living in the wild, wild west. I've got 2 moths flying around.
I
My
saw
dog-
that.
My dog, I don't know what the HELL he's doing. It's just insanity over here.
Oh yeah.
There's
For
a
the last-
large spider that scurried across the floor a little while ago.
Wow. Yeah.
Uh,
Wildlife.
I don't know if y'all could hear it, but Joy loves walking up to the mirror we have hanging in the hallway and high-fiving the mirror loudly and often. Yeah.
Did not hear it.
Okay, good.
I haven't heard that either. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's one of her favorite activities. She's asleep now, but a while back.
Yep.
So
Well,
the
whatever's
other.
going on with this dog bed is insanity over here.
But for the capital projects, yeah, I think the Kiwanis upstairs, the Kiwanis building bathrooms, the dugout, the bleachers, although that's really kind of been taken off of us.
Thankfully.
Thankfully, yeah, I'll take it. And honestly, the bathrooms might have been taken off of us too.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then I think just the big long terms are, what are the first steps in the meantime for building Trask?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. And then next meeting. There will be, the next Tuesday is the 16th, maybe middle of month, or the
Wednesday?
23rd.
If we
Or
want to go back to
Wednesdays?
Wednesdays, because now
Sure.
that the concerts are done.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah. The 17th.
Yeah,
17th
that
works for me.
Works.
Okay.
Okay.
And according to my calendar, that's Citizenship Day, oddly enough.
Ooh.
I don't know what that really means for us, but okay.
I don't know what it means for our
Right.
country at this point, so let's just let them go.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'll aim it for the 17th then. That sounds good.
Okay, great.
And Maria, I'm gone from the 2nd to the 12th with this
Okay.
Mike meeting,
Ooh,
so,
nice.
yeah.
So maybe, because I'm guessing again with the warrant, this might have something to do with it. I might meet with him alone first, and then
Okay.
loop you in if there needs to be a second or follow-up meeting.
Okay, perfect,
Okay.
yep. Sounds good.
Right.
Right.
We
and
did
then
it.
10
We
o'clock on
did.
Saturday at the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10 o'clock. It's on Saturday at the beach.
You bring in the grill, Maria? I hear you make a good burger.
It's-
Yeah.
it's-
I
some-
gave
so
away all
Is the
all
tent
the
down?
extra.
It's
Tent's
down.
down as of today. Yep. Chris and Drew helped me put away the pieces because none of the kids picked up the shifts. So we handed up every pole, every stake, everything.
No
My
need to go
uncle
to the
still
gym.
wheels the tarp, like the top part, into the office for us because none of us should be doing that.
Oh, dude, yes.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he still wheels
Yes.
it in. Yep. That's the
It,
benefit
it
of it
is-
being the uncle.
it is not light. Correct.
Every year he goes, I forgot how heavy this is.
Yeah. So-
Actually,
so-
sorry, one more thing
honestly,
on that.
for Chris and Laura, right?
Yeah.
I took that down by myself one year.
Oh my God.
Oh,
It
cannot
was,
imagine.
it was in the old volleyball area, which is behind the basketball court.
Like
Oh,
towards
wow.
the basketball court. Yeah.
And literally, like I went around, I dropped all the poles first, and then somehow pulled the cover off
Jeez.
and folded it as best I could. And then
Right.
I got my son and one of his buddies to help get it onto a dolly to move it over to my truck, which we just barely got it into the truck.
Jeez.
You and
Yeah, it
Braxton
was
for a
not-
week?
It
That's
was
impressive.
not a fun day.
No.
I do not recommend anyone doing it by themselves. That might have been, that might have been really bad.
Yeah. Even
I
just
was
the
telling
poles
Chris
was
today that
decent.
the kids did it a couple of those years, and it was
Mm.
me and some 14-year-olds standing on a chair holding the weight of the entire thing up, trying to get a thing under a pole under, and I'm going, all right, next RecCom meeting, I'd like to put it in the budget that we pay someone else for this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that was pretty ill-advised.
Yeah,
I
it's-
cannot believe someone didn't get hurt.
Huh.
Sorry, but actually just one other thing with that. My uncle did say that the tent part, the tarpy part, is getting pretty filthy. And they really can't do the cleaning they do with theirs because their, washing machine, it's actually even too big for their washing machine, but they may be able to do some sort of hang it, the way they do a dryer. They have like a big clothesline that's probably 100 feet in the air. They may be able to do some sort of power washy thing. He's like,
That's
it'd
what I
be
was
an
picturing.
expense and a whole thing, but doesn't have to be this year, but it is getting pretty dirty. Maybe we think about this year, next year. And if we don't do that, is there a similar or a better cost to getting a new top that is in 2-3 pieces? So we stop having to rely on him being nice and moving this for us. It's also just not good for it, the wear and tear for it to be all one piece versus broken up.
Mm.
Anyway, so speaking of big costs, doesn't have to be this year, but looking down the line,
Yeah.
a new top to the tent. If we're gonna do it, it can't be all one piece. And if
Mhm.
we aren't gonna do it for a while, getting it washed.
Mhm.
So,
how?
so if, you know what, why don't we get a quote of what it would cost to do that wash?
Yeah.
Can that be done at any point? Like, is there a time limit? Like, do we get to a certain point in the fall where he goes, yeah, we can't do it after this point because it'll never dry? And
Yeah.
if it won't dry and it's just gonna mold, then it's worthless to try
Right.
it at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna bet, just coming from a tenting company, that any time in the winter, because they're dead, is the time where they'd be willing to take on a little extra work that's indoor and at their facility. And then also, like I said, it's literally, I used to be the one lifting those tents. It's, you put it on a big pole and you walk up about 60 steps and two people do that. It dries in a day. Because at that point it's a big clothesline. So I don't think it's the timetable in terms of length. I think it's busy season versus not busy season.
Oh, yeah, yep.
So I would say my guess is anytime in the winter he would be game if it's something he feels comfortable saying yes to, because they can't do their typical wash in the washing machine.
Yeah, sure. No, I mean, and I get that too. I just didn't, I guess I didn't know if the facility was large enough for that size to be able to do it, and if there's enough drying time, or if there's a time bound to try to do that either in the fall or beginning of the spring before things really start heating up, type of scenario. That's all, right?
Yeah. Well, I'll let him get through. He's doing Brimfield and he does the big show there. Anyway, I'll let him get through the busy season. I think he's got some weddings coming up, and when things start to die down, he'll probably be thinking, oh no, there's no more income, and I'll hit him then and say, hey, what about us paying some extra to get this washed?
Yeah.
Yep.
And who knows, maybe we have an idea of what our financials look like at that point.
Maybe.
Wow, maybe.
Wow.
Full circle.
Whoa.
Full
Hold
circle.
on,
That's
wait a
just
minute.
crazy talk. Come
Hold on,
Rick.
let's back up and erase that from this recording.
Yes.
We're gonna switch you to decaf, Rick.
Yeah.
I know,
It's all
it's almost
crazy.
only 10 and I'm still going, Jesus, what's wrong with me?
I know. All right.
Right?
On that note,
Yep.
shall we adjourn?
We should adjourn, yes.